Good evening, everyone. Let me redo this. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday evening here on the 19th day of July, 2026. As I discussed in this morning's video, as well as previous videos, we are keeping a close watch on Tropical Depression 2, which has been designated by the National Hurricane Center this morning after a recon plane found a closed circulation. We could definitely see that there is a closed circulation. Then the last couple of days, if we look at the low-level cloud motions here, we can see very vigorous southerly flow here. Winds are coming all the way around here out of the easterly and northerly direction. And then they come all the way down here. But because we have all this deep convection down here, I would not be surprised if this circulation is still somewhat elongated, where we have a sharp cutoff and something that looks kind of like this. So where we have a more elliptical looking circulation that is not very circular and very well defined, or it's somewhat defined right now, but it could be a lot more defined. Now, another thing that I've noticed in this infrared satellite imagery is the cloud tops are not super cold at all. And you might think that, well, there's some reds. Those are rather cold. But if you want to look for a really organized, intense, deep tropical system, you'd be looking at cloud tops of -70 to -80 degrees Celsius. Right now at the moment, we are not seeing that, which indicates there is some warmer air aloft and also some drier air coming in out of the northeasterly direction. And you even see it right here. You look closely, some of these mid-level cloud motions right here coming in out of the northeasterly direction. So we're beginning to see the impacts of some northerly and northeasterly vertical wind shear that is about to plague the system in the next 24 to 36 hours. And that's going to put a lot of challenges on Tropical Depression 2 over the course of its lifetime as it straddles the United States coastline of Florida into the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama coast, as well as Texas. Looking at the zoomed out water vapor satellite imagery, what we could also see here, and this gives us a pretty good idea on upper level dynamics, if there's any dry air, if there's any vertical wind shear that the system is currently exhibiting. And right now, you can see a little bit of an easterly flow front. If we look very closely, you can see it already draped down here across, say, Alabama into Mississippi and Georgia. This is where we have notably strong northerly and northeasterly flow behind this boundary, with separation of westerly flow that's doing this and very weak loose easterly flow over the system. So I would probably imagine once this belt of easterly flow increases over the system, it is really going to start shearing Tropical Depression 2 to some degree, to where it's going to more than likely struggle quite a bit as it straddles the coastline. Also on this imagery, you can see what appears again to be that little tongue of drier air that is making its way into the mid-levels of the atmosphere, wrapping all the way around. And that's why we have a very anemic convective structure on Tropical Depression 2. In fact, one could even argue if this is even a tropical depression at all, just because this is very spurty looking. It is not really it's somewhat healthy, as healthy as it was yesterday. But because that plane did find that close circulation, that's why we have a tropical depression. But right now, it doesn't really matter if this is a tropical depression or not. The impacts have not really changed, given all this convection to the north here is very percolating. It bubbles up, then it collapses. It bubbles up, and then it collapses. We're not seeing any persistent of deep convection. And the fundamental ingredients to get tropical storms to go and to intensify is to get persistence of deep convection within this inner core or within that circulation. And if we, again, go back, you would want to see lots of explosiveness to the thunderstorms right around where that center actually is. Because what that does is that ultimately leads to very strong upward motion around the circulation. That air aloft is able to get evacuated in most quadrants. You can kind of think of it that like a pot of boiling water. When you boil water, the warmer water from below hits the top of the water and it spreads out. We're not seeing that here. And until we see that, we don't get a lot of persistence of deep convection. This is what the aircraft, Hurricane Hunter aircraft, if I can get a better, let's see, there we go. So this is what the Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft, and this is basically the CJ-130, WCJ-130 Hercules aircraft that flew through the system, found a pressure hanging at steady state of about 1,010 millibars. So this is not really all that strong at all. In fact, one could even argue if it's even a tropical depression at all. What we did notice, though, is while the surface low is right here, on this aircraft mission, we can see very light, loose winds on this side, which means that the overall scope of the exact center could be moving around where this area is. So I wouldn't be surprised if the circulation may be up here again, and then it just kind of rotates from down shear to down shear right and left, and just kind of circulates around where that main theoretical center actually is. Winds on the eastern side have been on the order of about 20 to 30 knots, meaning that this is a tropical depression. But of course, wind intensities here will fluctuate based on the current state of convection that the system exhibits. Right now, this is not very strong at all. And right now at the moment, I would worry more about individual thunderstorms over Florida than the storm itself, because those contain the heaviest rainfall, some gusty winds, and some perhaps water spouts and tornadoes. So worry more about the tornadoes, the water spouts, and the flooding with some of these pop-up thunderstorms in Florida and parts of, say, southern Alabama, more than the circulation itself. Because really, until we get a blob of very deep persistent convection, this is a really jumbled up mess at the moment. So let's take a look here at the latest National Hurricane Center on their advisory products. I always like providing this. And this is the 7 o'clock advisory. Winds are at 30 miles per hour. And I think this is the lowest theoretical number they could have on a tropical depression. Maybe it's even 25 miles per hour is the lowest. But either way, this is not very strong at all. And there's only tropical storm watches out for the western portion there of, say, the panhandle of Florida. So like Pensacola, Florida, Panama City, Florida, under tropical storm watches. Nothing over Mobile, Alabama right now, but that could change if this does gain intensity. What we could see with what I'm about to show you in the modeling is that the cone of uncertainty is really large. We could theoretically see this deviate pretty far south, and it could stay over water over the next 5 days. In theory, this would be, if you kind of draw a line, this would be the 5-day forecast over here. So yeah, this could spend as much as maybe only 2 to 3 days over the open Gulf waters. Excuse me, there's a motorcycle. So it could spend anywhere between 2 to 3 days over the Gulf waters, or it could spend as long as 5 or 2 additional days over the Gulf waters. And that is critical in the forecast here, because it could mean the difference between a 60-mile-an-hour tropical storm, or in theory, some of the more aggressive models have even threatened to bring this up to hurricane intensity as well. So that's where we kind of stand on a double knife edged sword with this system. Either we get a track that goes in towards, say, the western panhandle of Florida, spins maybe another couple of days, or we get a track much further south and it spins even additional 2 to 3 days over the Gulf. Right now, the key messages are such: the depression is expected to gradually strengthen and could bring tropical storm conditions to portions of the Florida Panhandle beginning late Monday, where a tropical storm watch is in effect. Interests in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas should monitor the progress of the system, as watches could be required for portions of that area over the next day or two. Okay, let me make sure my mic is okay. So that's what we're going to really be watching closely for. Areas of flash flooding will be possible through Thursday along the eastern and central Gulf Coast from western Florida to the southern portions of Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. So that's what we're really watching for, okay? So right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in the guidance, and I'll show you why that is here in a second. Here's the chances of tropical storm force winds. I would say anything under about 40% is deemed, actually 30% is deemed a slim chance. Anything over about 40 to 50 is deemed a certain big possibility. So right now, the chances of tropical storm force winds as it stands, all right, I want to make it clear in this live stream, as it stands now, chances of tropical storm force winds are very, very low along the Mississippi, Alabama, and even the panhandle of Florida, as well as most of Louisiana. It's only until you get to the southern tip of Louisiana where you get those chances that are a little higher near Grand Isle there in Louisiana. And the stronger or the arrival of tropical storm force winds would be for Wednesday morning across southern central Louisiana, and for Tuesday morning into Monday night into Tuesday morning across Alabama, the southern coast of Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. So here's a look at the amount of rainfall that is anticipated according to the Weather Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, and other agencies that put this together. And you could see it doesn't take a tropical storm, folks, to bring the worst impacts. We can clearly see with what a tropical depression could do over Tallahassee, could bring 2 to 4 inches of rainfall alone. And this is a 5-day rainfall forecast. So over the next 5 days, Tallahassee could end up getting about 2 inches of rainfall. Mobile, Alabama, maybe an inch, as well as New Orleans, Louisiana, could get anywhere between about a 1 to 2 inch range. And then right along Grand Isle in southeastern portion of Louisiana, you could get as much as 8 inches of rainfall, maybe eclipsing close to a foot of rainfall right there where some of that red is. So again, it doesn't take a significant system to bring significant impacts along the Gulf Coast here. I would not worry as much about wind as you should worry more about some storm surge and some heavy rainfall at times as this system grazes or makes landfall over Louisiana. We don't have anything out yet for Corpus Christi, for Brownville, as well as Houston, Texas. But right now, on the early scale of forecasts, I would say between about a quarter to a half an inch of rainfall is anticipated there over the next 5 days. Here's a look at the risk of flooding. So anything here with a slight risk, that's the yellow. It's a 15% risk for some flash flooding that is anticipated. You can see a pretty good fetch area here from about near Mobile, Alabama, points westward into Lake Charles, as well as Cameron into Grand Isle in Louisiana, Houston, Texas, as well as Corpus Christi. You're under a marginal and slight risk for heavy rainfall. When we take a look at the peak storm surge forecast here from the National Hurricane Center, this is what they're thinking right now. So over Indian Pass along the Big Bend of Florida, you have a shot at seeing up to about 3 feet of storm surge, 1 to 3 feet at least. And again, 3 feet, that's decent. That would be up to your waist for a human adult that's about 5.5 feet or 6 feet tall. So that is pretty decent, all right, over this area. And again, that's only from a 30 to 50 mile an hour tropical storm right now, okay? And you're getting storm surge that is that high. So please take this a little seriously if you are living along the Big Bend coastline. So let's take a look now at the forecast with the system. We're first going to be looking at the steering flow forecast because there's a lot of complications in the modeling right now that cannot be resolved easily. More than anything, hopefully they can send a upper level drop zone G4 aircraft out into this to better, hopefully feed better data into the modeling. We only have the Hercules WCJ 130 that have investigated the system so far. And so some of that data has been able to get fed into the 18Z model runs. And we have seen some slight corrections to what we're seeing right now. So the one thing to really pay attention to is this little trough up here across southern Canada that is going to be coming downstream of the ridge that is over the desert southwest, the Four Corners High, that's bringing Elida to the north here, and that's helping to amplify this ridge a little bit more. Okay, so when you get one amplifying feature, it tends to amplify the other. So we have a deep layer subtropical ridge here across much of the Four Corners. And the challenging part of this forecast is that parts of this northerly belt of that ridge are actually being are actually impacting Tropical Depression 2 in a way where it's keeping it pinned down. However, we have another ridge of high pressure. This was well discussed in the NHC forecast. I've even discussed it many times in the previous videos. We have another high pressure region off the east coast of Florida and off the southeastern seaboard as well. And so what we're seeing here, and if I keep the annotations up, so we have a ridge here. We have a ridge over here as well. So we have two highs. And what we're seeing here is we're getting a southerly component of this ridge off the coast of the Bahamas. We're getting a northerly component of the flow from this ridge over the Four Corners. So what is actually happening here is these two flows are fighting against each other. It's kind of like a wrestling match. Is the red team going to win? So the red team is bringing this on shore because red means bad news for the coast. Or is the blue team going to win and keeping this offshore, but also strengthening the system? So in this case, this is a very, very delicate situation. So delicate that we still have as much uncertainty as it is physically possible with a system like this. Quite similar with Melissa. Melissa had a same overall steering or upper level pattern that it was within, where for a while we could not tell exactly where Melissa was going to go. That was a very challenging forecast. In this case, something similar, again, with a high here, a high here. So these flows are basically doing this. So I can draw a hypothetical area. Basically, that's what we're seeing right here. And there's like a boundary of where, there's a wall where this is being buttered up against. So therefore, this system is essentially stationary. In fact, I think the latest, right here, if we go back and look at this, it is stationary. It is not moving at all. Not moving a single inch. Maybe it's moving around. It's just maybe by 0.5 mile an hour, but overall, this is not moving at all. And this is really, really disappointing to a lot of forecasters like myself because, of course, the job here is to convey accurate, honest information to you all that are along the Gulf Coast here. But at the same time, when we're dealing with a very challenging forecast, it's one of those reasons why many meteorologists could get this wrong right now. May say that this is not going to hit the Big Bend of Florida, but it ends up doing so because of one variable that was not well forecasted. So what we end up seeing here is, assuming if the Euro comes to being correct here, man, this really does drift. This is 60 hours. So if we go back here to right now, so let's go back, So let's go to here. So this is 03 Zulu. So that's about right now. And I'm going to put a little circle where our system is right now. And if we go over the next 3 days, man, this really has not moved at all. In 3 days, it has taken this time to move over that much of the Gulf. That's only about 100 miles, only 100 to 150 miles. So it is not really moving that much. In fact, if I do the math here really quickly for more accuracy, so in 72 hours, so let's say 72 hours, okay. Oh, wait, no. So we'll do about 125 miles divided by 72 hours or 3 days. It's only moving at 1.74 miles per hour. 1.74 miles an hour. So that is not very fast at all. That is why the forecast is so challenging right now. So now, if the system were back here, though, a little bit, this would be able to go out to sea. That was what earlier models were showing about a week ago. We were thinking that this would get captured very nicely and go out to sea and not really have time to develop because of where this trough is. But instead now, our system is a little bit more tucked further south and southeastward to where now it's away from that trough. By the time it comes down, system's a little bit further south than the previous forecast. So now, instead, at looking at a system that would get shoved into the Big Bend of Florida, it gets now mired underneath. It gets captured and gets marooned underneath this subtropical ridge over the high plains and the desert southwest. And this influence of the trough here on our system is not really going to happen now, since the break of the ridge is right in here, and our system is well away from that. So now it gets marooned underneath that subtropical ridge. But it really will depend now how influential and strong this ridge actually is, because if it's stronger, then the system ends up a little further southward and it spends more time over the Gulf. Again, time is everything with this system. So putting this into motion, we can see our 500 millibar height. I know it doesn't show a good reflection here, but we're looking at the steering flow in general. So we can see our system, most of the energy, at least the mid-level and surface energy, moves generally westward and gets captured underneath this high-pressure ridge over the high plains, and it misses this break in the ridge that is off towards the northeast. So therefore, the system ultimately here begins to get mired, or tends to move towards the west in this scenario. Let's see the GFS. So the GFS has a different scope on things, and the reason why that is if we look at the GFS model, and the reason why, actually, hold on. Okay, so this is, let me make sure I got this right. Hold on. Okay, so this is actually showing it further west than previous runs. Okay, so the GFS is a little more onshore, and let me figure out why that is. So most of the energy, I know it's not really reflected here in the steering flow at 500 millibars, but most of the energy is onshore here. And the reason why that happens is because this trough is a little further south. This ridge is a tad bit weaker. That's the reason why I see that. So I think this ridge is a little weaker. It's very hard to tell, but this trough is a little bit further southward than what the European model shows. So the ultimate is that this system barrels straight into Louisiana. That's where we're at this point, is if the ridge wins the battle, the system gets mired underneath, most of the energy remains consolidated and moves further to the west, versus the GFS model solution has a stronger trough further south, and most or half of the energy is able to get caught into that flow and actually kind of like stretch it. Vorticity stretching, we call it. And it's be able to get stretched like Laffy Taffy. If you ever think of Laffy Taffy, you stretch things thin, you get two blobs of interest. Well, when they separate, it just doesn't allow things to really develop easily. And we could even see this on the trend, the 48-hour trend. We can see in recent model runs of the GFS, this trough is sampled a little stronger and a little further south. And this ridge here is sampled a teeny bit weaker in recent runs. So that makes a huge difference in the evolution. Compare that to the European model that this is the 18Z forecast. We can see the trough here is a little weaker and a little further north. And the ridge here, it's hard to tell. It's a little stronger, but not strong enough to where there's a little bit of an anomaly here. So it's a little weaker here. And so one is weaker, one is stronger, makes all the difference. Okay, so that's where we stand with this the track evolution with the players on the field. That's how I kind of look at it at this point is, again, player A or player B, Player B is our trough, player A is our ridge, in other words. Okay, does player A win and capture the system and bring it to the goal? Not a goal at this point. Or does player B try to capture it and throw it to trash, right? So now looking at the artificial intelligence AFIS model from the Euro, this is look at the low-level or surface wind plot. And actually, yeah, we can see here surface winds do reach higher end tropical depression force, or if not a tropical storm. So we're looking at a Bertha situation here. But again, it really is going to come down to how far offshore this remains. In simple terms, folks, the further offshore this does get, the more opportunity it has time to intensify gradually. I don't see rapid intensification, and I'll explain why here in a second, versus a system that does remain along the coast and does not have enough time over the water to which to strengthen. So So that's what we're seeing here. On this particular model, it does graze the coast long enough to where it really essentially does not have as much time to strengthen. And we have seen weaker forecasts now from the artificial intelligence. We look at the last 3 runs from the APHIS, we can see a weakening trend here in recent models, which is great news for Texas. But again, that will come down to now casting the system in the first place. So please take this with a grain of salt and don't necessarily think that a weaker trend is good news here. This could go either direction from day to day. Okay, so keep that in mind here on the forecast. And keep in mind on this forecast, it takes a little over 4 days, about 4.5 days to make the crossing over the northern Gulf, while some other solutions are a little slower. We can see that here on the European model. This solution is a lot slower, but also at the same time, a lot of its energy really gets dismantled in this run. If we look at the 12Z run, something similar does actually happen, and it really does fall apart here. And so, but this takes about 3 days. Actually, it's not as, relatively speaking, it would take a little bit more time to get to Texas if this were offshore. So a little slower on the Euro, but also weaker at the same time compared to our APHIS model. The GFS model has actually become way more aggressive, which for the GFS to do that actually tells us the GFS, fortunately or actually unfortunately, is not really a reliable model because it took this long for it to correct. So putting this into motion, we can see the GFS is a lot more significant on this. And if I would probably put a lot of weight, because the NHC is also aggressive, probably put more weight on the GFS model in this sense, because it does have a little bit of a splotch here of red and orange, which indicates tropical storm wind intensities here. But look at how long it takes. It takes about 3 days just to go that distance. And 3 days could make really a big difference with this. If this actually stays further south, it could spend 5 days over the Gulf, which is more than plenty of time to get the system to intensify gradually. The Canadian model as well shows a similar situation here. Does show a tropical storm as well, with tropical storm force winds of around 35 to 40 knots. So that is declared tropical storm intensity here. Actually, wait, no. This is not tropical storm force winds here in green. Got myself confused. Actually, did I make a mistake? I did make a mistake here. Man, they got to change this. They got to change this. Sorry about that, folks. Green is not tropical storm. That's 20 knot winds. So it would have to be the more medium shade, more of the orange to be tropical storm force. The Euro is the same way. And yeah, sorry if I made that mistake. On even the APHIS, why does it show 20 knots? Before it showed 34 knots with the green area. I do not know why Tropical Tidbits did that. Maybe have to talk to Tropical Tidbits to extend their legend a little bit for us. All right, so the Canadian model has tropical storm force winds, but it parallels the coast and is able to hold together a little bit longer, and it takes 5 days. It's the slowest model that we have in today's update. So therefore, again, timing differences, location differences are what is challenging for today's forecast. But I'll tell you right now, there's one model that is very bullish. So we looked at the more conservative forecasts. We're looking at the more bullish, and unfortunately, that has to be the Icon or German model, which can do well in some instances. So it does show this to intensify, but if it moves over land, it does weaken a little bit. But then if it pops out over the northwestern Gulf, it does strengthen up a little bit more. In fact, if we zoom in here, and I can't get much closer, that's a 951 millibar low hitting Corpus Christi, Texas in about almost 5 days on this forecast. So that would be a very, very bullish forecast, and probably one that I would not really trust right now, because that theoretically shows a major hurricane. Major hurricane? Yeah, I don't believe it. I really don't. But that's why, we have all these models that show us different solutions. Our hurricane models right now are jostling this all over the place, but if you want, I could actually show you the HWRF model as well. So the H-Wharf model with surface winds does show this becoming a tropical storm. And here the green area is tropical storm intensity. And then the purple there is hurricane intensity. I wouldn't probably put a lot of faith in that it's a hurricane at all just because it's in one little spot. But this makes landfall very close to Mobile, Alabama in about 60 hours. Okay, so we have a tropical storm there with 1,002 millibars theoretically. When you look at the HMON model, though, on the same system, on its 18Z forecast, I want to make sure that H-Wharf, okay, yeah. So the HMON is further south and also a little bit stronger and shows this at 980, as low as 982 millibars, and it does show this becoming a hurricane. There's a nice good swath here of hurricane force winds on the eastern side, and they do wrap at least almost halfway around for it to be almost considered a hurricane here before it becomes a tropical storm right at landfall and then parallels the coastline. So two of the models do show this high-end tropical storm to low-grade hurricane. What about the HAVS A model? The HAVS A model is very similar, well, not even similar at all. Does not show any development with this, and that's why I'm not putting a lot of stock in the HAVS A or HAVS B. Although it is very disjointed, it does show that fairly well. And then the HAVS B is quite similar as well. You can see this as I play this through. System really remains miscombobulated for the whole forecast. Does not even begin to show this becoming a tropical storm. So we have a solution between high-end tropical storm and not even a tropical depression or barely a tropical depression in itself. We can see that here on the spaghetti plot from the artificial intelligence. So from the APHIS the APHIS ensemble, you can see some tracks do bring this onshore, but the majority of the tracks still bring this towards the west and still bring this to tropical storm intensities with 35 to 45 knot winds. Anything in green here, these green tracks all exhibit 40 knots, 40 to 50 knots or so. Okay, that's one group of ensembles. Here's another group of them. And a little alarming to say the least here, the Euro is pretty darn bullish, very bullish, and a few other suites are coming in bullish as well. You can see the European ensemble. This is not the AI-based forecast. You can see there are plenty of tracks that do bring this to hurricane intensities with 65 to 80 knots of wind. I don't see anything that warrants any major hurricane here at all on any individual members. That would be the pink here on the legend. We don't see any pink tracks. We just see the dark red tracks, which indicate up to 80 knots of wind. 80 knots, that is about 95-ish miles per hour, and that would declare a Category 2 hurricane here in the Gulf. Non-major hurricane on this member, but or on this suite, but still, there is still a high-end scenario here being noted in the ensemble. Looking at the GEFS ensemble, the 18Z forecast shows tracks again theoretically into near Pensacola, Panama City, Florida, to tracks that are much further towards the west, as far west as Grand Isle in Louisiana, and even as far west as, theoretically, in theoretical sense, to as far west as Corpus Christi and Houston, Texas. Okay, so big spread in the envelope here. Big spread, okay? Highly uncertain, delicate situation. And the Google DeepMind AI forecast also shows something similar to with what we are seeing with the European ensemble, not the AI forecast necessarily, and shows lots of green, lots of yellow and orange tracks, which indicate wind speeds anywhere between 40 knots, about, I would say, 45 knots, all the way up to about 65 knots. So borderline Category 1 hurricane here on the ensemble, okay? That's what we're looking at right now. I don't think this is going to jam directly into Tallahassee. Most scenarios do not show that happening. So Tallahassee, you're coming out of this better than areas like that could be downstream of this in Louisiana, but also show even tracks into southern Texas. So yeah, pretty significant uncertainty here in the forecast. And the generational Google DeepMind ensemble as well shows lots of tropical storm intensities here with winds that are between 40 to 55 knots, okay? So there is certainly a likelihood to some degree, I believe, that this is going to make a run to tropical storm strength, okay, at least. And the reason why I have some confidence in that is, well, don't have sea surface temperatures here. Let me zoom out on this a little bit so you all can see that. Is because when we look at our Gulf of America sea surface temperatures, very warm waters right over where this surface low is. In fact, it's over a patch of 31.5 Celsius waters. That is very significant. That is very warm. Warm waters also off the coast of Louisiana as well. So that is a really big concern on our system, is that sea surface temperatures are not limiting the system at all. And it's just the dry air that is being shoved in out of the northeast that is preventing persistent deep convection to then kickstart a surface low to really tighten up. So right here, as far as I can see, sea surface temperatures are more than suitable enough for this system. When you look at our sea surface temperature anomalies, definitely significant here as well, anywhere between about 1 to almost 2 degrees above average with our sea surface temperature anomalies in the northeastern Gulf of America. So that's what we're looking at. This is not what you want to see, but hopefully the dry air and vertical wind shear keep this from really developing in a hurry. When we look at our upper ocean heat content, there is some upper ocean heat content, not significant by any means, anything between about a 25 to a 35 right now where our system actually is. If our system does something like this and basically skirts the coastline, it would avoid this pocket of the loop current of very high upper ocean heat content on the order of about 150 units. And so a track like this would probably fare better further north this goes, and the closer it is to the coast, it would fare better than a system that does something like this and goes much further south. Oh, thought I was recording. I'm live streaming. Oh my gosh, I felt like this is a video and I've almost pressed the number 2 key on my keyboard, which would end this stream accidentally. Good thing I didn't do that. When we look at our upper ocean heat content anomaly, we can see some pretty good anomalies, well above average upper ocean heat content, but anything around that is really plagued by below average upper ocean heat content in the Gulf. So overall, the Gulf is actually, in terms of upper ocean heat content, nothing as significant as what we were seeing last year. I'll be honest with you all with that, okay? The Gulf actually has well below average overall upper ocean heat content than it did last year. So that would hopefully also help the system to not develop at all, okay? So that's what we're looking at right now. Now, a couple of other tabs that I forgot to open up here is the intensity forecast here. And we can see right here clearly most of the model guidance does show this becoming a tropical storm. All right, the National Hurricane Center is actually a little bit bullish and actually is above most of the guidance. I'm a little surprised by that. And so right now, based on what I'm seeing, based on the environmental factors that we'll get to here, because I forgot to show you the environmental forecast, my intensity forecast is pretty much like the last one, and I am below the National Hurricane Center. I am showing a peak intensity here of about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So more of a low-grade tropical storm at most, what we're forecasting with this system. I don't see this becoming a hurricane. I don't even know why this model even exists in the first place. Huge outlier there. I mean, forecasting a Category 1? Yeah. This is how you know that's an outlier, because all the other guidance is not really agreeing upon that. But we are nonetheless expected to see this become a tropical storm. And if it does, it would become Bertha. Let's look at our spaghetti plot here from most of our hurricane models, and you can see, ignore these. These are the halves A and halves B models. You could celebrate those Nate long. You could be like, oh, hey, I'm getting lucky. The system's going to go right over my area. Those are huge outliers. Those really are. And so most of the guidance is off towards the west. within this package. And this is the 0Z output that just came in, showing us, again, most of the tracks are further to the west. So that's that. So now, why is this system, this tropical system, not going to explosively intensify? And so a lot of you are probably asking that, right? And it doesn't hurt to ask that question. So if we go and look at the environmental forecast, so for one thing, when we take a look at our upper levels of the atmosphere, actually we're going to look at the United States. Actually, yeah, this is a better way to look at it. So we can see a very strong barotropic subtropical ridge over the high plains. You can see that right here to the north. We have very strong westerlies that are screaming at about 70 to 80 knots. But some of this wind is actually coming down out of the north. And you could see a distinct boundary of separation here. Actually, we'll use a GFS in this sense. So we can see a distinct boundary where there is very light upper level winds to where we have a boundary of fairly strong northerly flow, northeasterly flow behind that boundary. Okay, and so as this moves over our system, you can see it gets caught, and you can even see where our system actually is here. System's right there, and you can see this background northeasterly flow hitting the system from the right side and helping to shear and tilt the vortex with height off towards the southwest and the west. Okay, and so that's what's causing the non-bullish forecast. That's why most of the guidance, despite over the warm waters, doesn't show a very, very aggressive, rapidly intensifying system. However, if the system is able to move a little faster within this background easterly flow, shear could decrease just enough for at least steady strengthening until it makes landfall potentially over parts of Texas. Again, that would largely depend on what it looks like now and how it all evolves over the next couple of days. Keep in mind, okay? So when we look at our deep layer moisture plot, our 700 to 300 millibar relative moisture plot, you can see that really well integrated here on the deep layer moisture plot from the GFS model. So if we look at the GFS here, we can see a nice good amount of moisture over the system. So that's not all that bad. But if you look very closely, we have this little tongue of drier air. That's what the water vapor imagery showed. And some of that drier air is working its way around the system. Even so, it is moist in relative sense surrounding the brown surrounding this area. This is relatively drier than the surrounding environment. So anything that is deformated is going to negatively impact our system. And so when we play this through, you can see with what that northeasterly vertical wind shear does. You can see our surface flow right here, right off the coast of Mobile, Alabama. Even so, our mid-level vortex, some of its energy is actually, well, it could even be over here actually. So there is definitely a big separation between the low-level vortex, the surface low, and the mid-level vortex here. And this is a tilt with height. This is not what tropical systems like to have. If you want a strengthening system, you want the vortexes to be vertically stacked and vertically aligned to allow thunderstorms to wrap upstream or onto the upshear side of the system to close off an inner core structure, to have a formative eye wall to begin, and to begin the process of strengthening. But in this case, we can't get that if there's a lot of vertical wind shear, and that really does occur here. In fact, the vertical wind shear here is so strong that there's brown here, and look at the mid-level vortex. It is very separated here by more than a couple of 100 miles to the southwest. And so that is not what you want to see. So yeah, there might be this saying that this is a dry tropical storm, and that is, well, because even so, the surface flow actually works its way into, say, Biloxi as well as portions of New Orleans. You might not see a whole lot of rain at all. How about that? You may only see 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain on the GFS model solution here. So it's one of those times that, wow, the skies are partly cloudy, yet you have 40 to 50 mile an hour winds hitting your area along the coast. That's what we could be dealing with here. Not a system that actually is very significantly wet at all. And if you look, yeah, see, you can even see it right here. All the rainfall, the heaviest thunderstorm activity is well offshore off the Louisiana coast. This reminds me of Hannah. This reminds me of Barry. Both systems had this configuration to it where most of the heavy rainfall and thunderstorms were offshore compared to the surface low that was a lot closer. Okay. So that's what we're dealing with here. Okay. All right. Looking at the European model, let's see what the Euro shows in the deep layer moisture sense. Yeah, see, it shows pretty much something very similar. Really, really does become tilted with height. All right, that's what we're dealing with right here. So while it looks pretty good right now, there's not a whole lot of vertical wind shear over the system. Conditions do begin to deteriorate or become more negative to the system in about a couple of days. That's actually probably a little sooner than that. In about 36 hours, we do see that occurring here. So that's what we need to keep an eye on. I really watch the model trends. Okay. Now, if we look at the national blend of models, I don't even know if we're able to bring that up. Let's actually bring up Weatherfront for that. So let's go to Weatherfront and look at the NBM forecast. And let's look at the total rainfall. This is a national blend of models. So this is a more accurate version of showing us how much rainfall could be expected over the next 5 days. And you can see here, this really does make a difference. Look how much rainfall is offshore here, almost 10 inches off the coast here, well off the coast of Florida and Alabama. But areas like here, like Mobile, as well as Gulfport, might only see 3/4 of an inch of rainfall. Mobile, parts of Mobile may not see hardly anything out of this system compared to areas like Tallahassee, because if, again, some of the moisture gets strung out towards the northeast, Tallahassee could pick up maybe with another inch or so. Port St. Joe, maybe another 2.5 inches of rainfall by the time this is all said and done. And also, man, lots of rainfall here along the eastern seaboard, part of that frontal system that could bring up to 6 inches there. So that's something that we are really going to have to really watch closely, okay? We really don't know right now who's going to get the most rain because depending on, one, how strong this gets, how much it becomes well put together, and two, where does it move? That's what we're going to be really watching for, okay? So any questions, anybody? We're going to hang out and track this system in real time and look at the current observations for a little while here since I've only been live for about 47 minutes. If you have not subscribed to the channel, folks, it does mean a lot to me, folks. We are literally close to 80,000 subscribers. I cannot even believe this channel is close to 80,000 subscribers. We are big here on YouTube. Okay, so again, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, I would really highly recommend doing so because, of course, the goal is by the end of this year to hit 100,000 subscribers. Add 6 digits, a 6-digit number to everything. And we will be tracking this in real time. We're going to be looking at latest recon. We'll be live here probably for another hour or so and keeping an eye on the latest forecast. But this is the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center right here. And you can see clearly as of 7 p.m., winds are at 30 miles an hour. And it is stationary. This is not moving. This is not moving at all. Satellite imagery is old. What? It's old? Is it not updating? Huh. What the heck? Why is it not updating? Oh, there it is. Okay, it's updating. Okay, here's the latest. All right, thank you for calling that out. That helped a lot. So it does look like it is trying to consolidate somewhere over here. In fact, let's bring up our RTMA data. That's what this actually shows. So it does look like, to me, I love RTMA data. This is real-time meso observations right now. And as we look at this, does look like this northern end may be the one trying to consolidate up here, while also the southern end of this is separating. So it makes things really, really tricky. This is very elongated right now, in fact. This it is closed, but my goodness, this is like, you can get a shape of the wind flow right here. It's not circular at all. And until it becomes circular, it's going to be hard to track this down. Let's take a look at the Doppler radar and see if we can get anything closer. Yeah, here's a little bit better version of that. So if we look at Doppler right now, it looks like the system might be pivoting, might have pivoted a little bit southwestward. Interesting. I find that really interesting. Might have pivoted a little further southwest. It's the whole tricky part of this system right now, is exactly where this is moving. This really has not moved very much. And the cool thing I like about this, folks, is if I go down here, we can get the last 24 hours of radar data. We can literally look at the radar data from yesterday still. And this gives us more frames. I believe, yeah, this gives us way more frames. I think like 500 something frames. And so we can see the evolution of our tropical system. And like literally, if you look through this, it has not moved. It has literally not moved at all since yesterday. It's just sitting there. It's just literally sitting there. And at times, you do get these banding features that do bring enhanced rainfall to the region. Let's see what it's like at Tallahassee right now. Florida, nothing in Tallahassee at all. It's where my friend Nate lives. What's up, Nate, brother? You had some good rain, though, earlier this afternoon, though. So you at least had some activity. It looks like nothing there right now. And actually, why is meters not? Oh, yeah, there's a meters, the weather observations. And you could even overlay weather observations in real time here. So you can kind of see what the temperatures have done in the last 24 hours of data. In fact, Weatherfront by far, I think, is by far the best weather software you could ever get. That along to go with Agacero, because Agacero, you could actually overlay a lot of different products, parameters with it. I'll have to show you all one day during like a Hangout live stream, like a similar to Pat's Path Predictor P-Show series that he's doing, which is great. What's up, brother, if you're watching this? And so one of the shows that I do, we'll have to look at Agacero and show you some really in-depth detail on that. It's pretty cool. I am far beyond, folks. I am far beyond basic meteorology over here. Basic is using, I want to see if Weather Underground still actually has their legacy weather models. Weather Underground really quick. I remember actually first tracking the tropics, I used literally old school weather models. I don't even think they have them here anymore. They actually don't. They actually took it away on the application. That's crazy. They don't even have it anymore. Funny enough, they do have sea surface temperature anomaly, though. I don't even think that even works anymore. Nope. So, yeah. It goes to show you, I've come a long way with weather forecasting. If you guys want to ask me, how long have you been doing this for? I've been doing this for over 20 years. Yeah, I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. Yeah, been doing it for 20 years. To be specific, I got into weather when I was 6 years old, so make that 24 years. Yeah, 24 years, 25 years, something like that. Yeah, pretty much so far 90%, 95% of my lifetime I've been into weather actually. So yeah. This thing is forming pretty quickly. It's not forming very quickly, no. Some people say it's forming very quickly. I don't see it's trying to. There is an area of deep convection right here. That's what we're seeing with the Doppler radar. It's where another attempt at the circulation is trying to develop. This is a very big jumbled mess, though. It really is. Really is. I wish they had this last year, because I think last year... Oh, no, there's no radar sites on Jamaica. I was going to say, man, if they had this like 5 years ago, this would have been really good for my YouTube channel. Calling on Discord right now. Ooh, let's bring Nate on. What's up, Nate?
How's it going, David?
It's going great. So this is Nate, folks, our staff moderator, part of the YouTube channel that manages the YouTube channel, helps manage the YouTube channel. And he is here with me from Tallahassee, Florida. So what are the weather conditions out your door right now?
Well, earlier today, I think you did show the live stream. We had a little bit of like some tropical showers. Honestly, really nothing crazy. I mean, it was probably less than a Florida thunderstorm that we usually get every single day, but the storm's been kind of nice for us right now, at least. Kind of stopped and cooled off some things a little bit and helped us not really get those nasty pop-up thunderstorms during the mid-afternoon. And still very humid, but you know, it's been overall pretty good. Winds have been light as well.
Exactly. And boy, you are not far from that tropical storm watch that is issued for Carabel. Oh my gosh, got to get that right. Mexico Beach, Port St. Joe under tropical storm watches. So, man, you could drive over there and be like, oh, I'm in a tropical storm watch. So, yeah, you're not far from that. There's no tropical storm warnings right now at the moment along the coast of Florida. But if this does strengthen a little bit more, there's actually a tropical storm warning for the outer waters of the Big Bend at the moment. But closer to shore, it's just a tropical storm watch. And that's really tied to our current storm motion that we're looking at right now. Yeah, the Gulf, Dawson is saying, is very warm right now. Oh, absolutely. Sea surface temperatures. I hope they add a tab here where you could actually see current sea surface temperatures based on data, because they are very warm right now. In fact, if we go back and look at what Dawson is referring to, this is pretty incredible. This really is. And boy, if it weren't for the vertical wind shear and the drier air, this thing, this stayed far enough offshore, this would have taken off. This would have really been a problem. But right now, because of the vertical wind shear increasing gradually over the system and drier air, despite these very warm sea surface temperatures that are in the mid to upper 80s, the system is struggling to get better defined. That means persistent deep convection to get the engine running, to get the lower pressures, to strengthen the system. We have not seen that thus far right now, and it's because of what I just discussed. But whew, those water temperatures are incredibly warm. In fact, if we go to windy.com, let's go to windy.com, get that out of the way. I go to actual sea surface temperatures right now. In Fahrenheit, they are in the mid 80s, 87 degrees. The warmest I could find is 88 degrees. So off the coastal, 89. We're pushing 89 degrees 89 degrees right off the coast here of Louisiana near Grand Isle. So that is very, very warm Gulf waters right now. But again, because of the vertical wind shear and drier air, that's why the system's not going to fare well. But whew, very, very more than warm enough, folks. You need 80 degrees, 79.6 degrees or greater for tropical favorability when it comes to sea surface temperatures alone. And we are well above that. We're 7 degrees above that right now. So the Gulf is favorable for tropical genesis, but the upper levels are not favorable. That's what we're dealing with right now. All right, Nate. I think he'll be back. He'll be right back.
I'm right here. What's up, David?
Oh, just tracking this. Yeah, so Gulf waters are very warm.
Right. Yeah, definitely very warm. I didn't know if you wanted to show the model, but I've been seeing a lot of things online, so maybe you want to kind of address the people that are watching, especially kind of regarding the NAM 3 kilometer. I've been seeing a lot of that on Twitter.
Yeah, let me see if I could find that. Yeah, okay, so I want to really clear up the confusion, and I should have not shown this on my live stream, which, by the way, Jeff does a good job at explaining the overall steering flow here. So what we are seeing again is this low squashed between two ridges, and this high tries to fill in as this trough tries to move out of the way. And that's why we are getting tracks that are like that. So actually, I really, really like this from Jeff. Let me see if I could find. Wow, is this from? Okay, no, this is not related. Let's see here. Nice shelf, Rodanthe. No, that's not it. All right, so I don't see it here at all. Some of this is AI bullcrap, by the way. Which, by the way, folks, that's the very unfortunate thing about social media now is a lot of people are twisting things up by using artificial intelligence stuff, like from Grok, from Grok, from ChatGPT, from other sources. Please be careful with what you find, please, because AI is surprisingly realistic. Anything could twist it, or like you can literally forecast this tropical system and it becomes a Cat 5 hurricane and it's AI generated. Seriously, it's like very unfortunate. By the way, you guys could follow me at Weather Force, at Weather United 1 as well. I'll be sure to have Nate put that in the chat as well. But let me see if I could actually bring it up here just to clear up anything, what's real and what's not. Actually, let's just use Weatherfront because Weatherfront actually does have that. It gives us the latest models. So let's bring up the RFS. But because actually, you know what? We'll just do the NAM 3 kilometer because people were posting about it. So let me see here. Did they? Oh yeah, NAM Nest is still there. Enjoy it while it lasts, folks, because they're going to get rid of that. I think sometime in August or early August. So for one thing, please, okay, really be careful with what model you actually look at, okay? I know I should have not shown this in yesterday's video, but because the global models were like really funky with this system and we were looking at kind of a more splitting the hairs between high-res models and what's not high-res to kind of substitute for our hurricane models because these models are not trained for tropical systems. The NAM Nest model, the RFS V2, the RFS Maine, the HRRR model, they are not hurricane-trained specific models. They are used to track severe thunderstorms like derechos, supercell complexes, MCVs, MCSs, QLCSs, pop-up thunderstorms during the day, okay? They're used for tornado outbreaks. They're used for severe weather forecasting, for tracking winter storms as well, okay? That's what they're trained specifically towards. What they're not trained specifically towards is hurricanes, okay? So there has been one instance, actually, I think it was with Milton. It was forecasting a 820 something millibar system. I mean, come on. 820 millibar system in the Gulf. That would be a world record. Okay, so you have to be like, okay, that's a lot. That's an outlier. We can't trust that. Because I'll tell you right now, the NAM 3 kilometer overdoes tropical systems, which is why it has the lowest pressure, which is why in its convective bias, it just blows everything up and amplifies it. All right, that's just all there is to it. So the ending result here is we end up seeing a significant hurricane here with winds that are nearing 100 miles an hour when most of our models in the first place are not showing a hurricane. Actually, I would probably theoretically say none at the moment are. Ignore the icon model. I don't know what the icon model is on right now, okay? When we look at the HRRR, that's also another mistake that people use. Let's look at the HRRR and see what it has for the system. The HRRR is a little bit more accurate in a way. It's not a hurricane model, so we can't trust it 100%, okay? So therefore, it shows winds of 40, at least 40 to 45 miles an hour, but it's a little bit more realistic given what the GFS have been showing with its genesis, so it looks like it's going to be moving that way. The RFS, the RFS, let's see what the RFS shows, and we're going to use the 18Z run because that has 84 hours out. Okay. Again, people use a mistake in thinking that, oh, dude, this is going to become a hurricane and everything. This is not as aggressive as the NAM model, which, again, the NAM is like overhyping crap up. You just got to ignore it. But what this does show in general, what I like to use the high-resolution models for is more track guidance forecasting. So in general, we see a system that parallels, that does something that looks kind of like this, kind of parallels and kind of swings like this in general, or to tracks that look kind of like that, okay? The intensity is exceptionally uncertain right now. We don't know. I would say a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm is certainly a possibility right now, is a more likelihood scenario than saying that winds are going to hit 70 miles an hour, right? 70 of a tropical storm is a lot stronger than 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm. It's like 30 miles an hour stronger, okay? So please use any high-resolution model with caution. Okay, that's what I'm here to kind of orchestrate out to you all, because convective biased will make huge mistakes. Okay, it really will. The GFS is convective biased overall. The high-res models here are convective biased because they're not hurricane trained models. Okay. Did I clear everything up from you all? If you want to share if you want to clip part of this live stream and put it on X and say, David knows what he's talking about, you all need to trust him because he is saying high resolution models, CAM's guidance is not as reliable on tropical systems as hurricane physics-based models. All nearby stations and cell towers were down. Couldn't get fuel for generators. Oh my gosh. And you're in, ban everything. You're in southern Mississippi, I take it? I'm guessing you're in southern Mississippi. If so, yeah, I'd be watching this system closely. How's Houston looking? So right now, again, there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of Houston just because of the situation that we're in. But let me see if I can get the ensemble, the NBM, and I'm just going to look at wind forecasts for the national blend. So right now for Houston, winds don't look all that bad, but if you look at a specific model, it's going to go crazy. For an example, I don't know if we have the icon. Oh yeah, the icon is here. If we look at the 18Z icon, and again, I would really use this with caution. It shows Houston getting about 18 to 25 25 mile an hour winds and has literally a 100 mile an hour storm making landfall. Okay, again, I would probably not put a lot of trust into that right now until we know exactly. Once this starts moving west or it goes a little more south of due west, then we'll say, okay, now we know where we're headed with this. We really got to raise the alarm for Texas. But right now, I would not really worry about this. This is still stationary. As long as it's stationary, there's no concern right now for Texas. That's why most of the rainfall forecasts out of that area are under about a half an inch. I'm in Louisiana. Okay, so you're in probably southern Louisiana. Oh yeah, I would really pay close attention to this band, everything. Boy, I'll tell you, Louisiana this year, you got a close call with Arthur. Now you're going to get a very close call or a potential landfall on Louisiana by Bertha. I do think this is going to get named. So we're looking at Bertha. By the way, we have 430 people watching this live stream. If you have not shared this with your family and friends on social media, please consider doing so. You guys are very awesome. Donate to the stream as well. We haven't gotten any donations. I don't want to make an excuse here, but I did lose my job literally almost a week ago. And right now, I'm having to do this like as full-time as I can possibly just to manage my finances. So, of course, that's all I ask is if you guys could help support the channel by donating or by becoming a member, that would absolutely help out. Until I get a job, I'm hoping Costco will allow me to come back in October. That's the prayer. That is the hope right now that they will hire me back for seasonal. I'm in Pinellas. And we have been getting hit with the outer bands for 3 straight days. I'm not surprised by that. I am definitely not surprised.
David, I got kind of a couple things for you. What do you think more of? Do you think there's going to be? Do you like this system going more eastwards? Do you like this system going more westwards? I know you said that it's kind of a delicate process, but what kind of impacts would you expect along maybe the Panama City to the Pensacola region?
Right now, since there will be some time before it makes landfall in Pensacola or Panama City, hypothetically, if that actually happens, it could strengthen to a tropical storm. But if it does go much further to the west and stays far enough offshore off the coast of the United States, it could end up becoming a more stronger tropical storm with winds that could max out at about 60 miles per hour. That's what the official NHC forecast calls for at the moment. And again, distance off the coast. Okay, so that's basically looking at how far this is off the coast. Okay, for the time it spins over water and the time it has left over water if it gets jammed into, say, Pensacola or as far east as, say, Panama City, Florida. Right now, most of the solutions right now bring this very close to the Louisiana coast, like probably over parts of the outer Grand Isle area. Yeah, like Grand Isle as well as, say, Golden Meadow could get hit. And I like how it keeps the arrow up there. So we can zoom in and theoretically make a track and be like, okay, this is where it's going, potentially. But right now, the low is very elongated. It is really, it doesn't look good at all. In fact, one could even argue this area looks like the area that could focus. According to RTMA data, this looks much more loose and broad down here. So if anything, it's going to be up here that really gets concentrated. but it really will come down to that steering flow. That is challenging right now. Thank you for the great content. You're very welcome. I do appreciate it.
And David, that was a $5 donation right there.
Yes, it sure was. So thank you for the dono. I do appreciate it. Lake Charles had mini tornadoes. Yes. With these storms, I'm sure, like a lot of banding that is occurring. In fact, if we look at our latest Doppler or our latest satellite imagery, let's go to, okay, there's a mesosector. Actually, can we bring up the geocolor? I think, oh no, wait, the natural color should hopefully be able to capture still daylight before the sun sets. Okay, good, it does. So I can kind of give it a new estimate where that low might be. So here is the low right in here. Yeah, it looks like it might be trying to consolidate right in here is where the low might be trying to do as right before the sun goes down. Man, I love this imagery. Dude, look how high res this is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All from Weatherfront. I really like Weatherfront. Probably far better than Weatherwise, in my honest opinion. Maybe they should sponsor me. I would love Weatherfront to sponsor me. Am I buffering? Are you serious? Why?
Yeah, you're buffering quite a bit on my end as well.
Oh, great. Am I buffering, folks? I do not know. It's probably because this is loading in. Hopefully that will go away. Pensacola going to get some wind. Pensacola definitely going to get some wind. Oh, yeah. For sure. You had some pretty good thunderstorms over there earlier today. But here's a look at that surface low. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to consolidate somewhere over here. What about impacts for New Orleans? So let's go to New Orleans and looking at the model data. So if we really look at let's look at the artificial intelligence model. So if we look at the AI model, New Orleans would certainly get some decent wind out of this. And when we look at the total rainfall out of New Orleans, you're looking at about 0.4 of an inch of rainfall. That's what this model shows. But again, every model is going to have their different opinions, okay? We got a 1/10 of an inch in New Orleans from the GFS. With the icon, a little more, about 1/4 of an inch. And then looking at our RFS model, looking at the 18Z forecast, New Orleans could get as much as maybe 1/2 an inch to an inch. It really comes down to exactly where this is going to be moving towards. The ArchEF, the HREF, which is the High Resolution Ensemble Forecasting System, New Orleans gets nothing over the next couple of days. Of course, the system hasn't moved into that area yet, so probably not use that. So looking at the NBM forecast, generally looking at about a quarter of an inch to maybe 0.3 of an inch at most right now is what I'm thinking. So the impacts do not look all that significant. What about Mobile, Alabama? So Mobile, Alabama could get about 1/2 an inch of rainfall. Did I miss a question? Oh, no. Let me go up. Okay, so do you think if it stays further south, this is from our Honda. So if it stays further south and the conditions get more favorable, then it could become a very low-grade hurricane. Exactly, but I mean, right now the chances of that are very slim, very slim. We first have to get the westward track to initiate, okay? We don't even know if this is really going to go west. Most of the spaghetti plots do show this going west, but they could shift really far towards the north and towards the east as well. So right now it is up in the air, but if a track does go further west, it does strengthen to a strong tropical storm. I'm not going to say a hurricane right now. The chances of a hurricane are too low to include that in the forecast, but I am definitely betting on a low-grade tropical storm with winds of at least 45 to about 45 to almost 50 miles an hour. I'd probably lean towards a more conservative side of about 45 miles an hour just because of what the environmental factors are in place. Yes, vertical wind shear is technically not a big problem right now, but there's some environmental dry air. But then in about 36 hours, that vertical wind shear and drier air do get shoved into the system. Upper level wind shear is affecting the storm. I'm probably going to buffer. I bet you this is going to buffer. So yeah, some upper level vertical wind shear is impacting. I'm not even going to bother bringing that up. Doppler radar loads a lot faster and it doesn't take so much bandwidth up. What about Holden, Louisiana for wind impact? So Holden, let's see here. I don't even think there's a search menu on here. Is there?
Also, David, when you're done addressing that question, why don't you, for all the new people who are watching, why don't you go over what we do around here for hurricanes and tropical storms when we go live, at least?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I was searching up a city.
Sorry, it's okay. Why don't you tell everybody what we do around here when we go live and what criteria we have to meet for how long of a live stream we do for hurricanes and tropical storms?
Well, the criteria is up in the air right now, but in order to go live all night, it needs to be at least a strong tropical storm and the impacts. If it's very sheared, and I'll be honest with you guys, not that I don't want to go live all night on a tropical storm, it does take a lot out of me, especially since I've been only getting about 5 to 6 hours of sleep. Recently, I've been having some sleep issues again, so therefore, in order for me to go live all night, for one thing, the system cannot be sheared, and there has to be big enough impacts along the Gulf Coast for me to initialize a live stream. And it's based on demand, and it's based on all of that. So it's based on demand. So demand is like, okay, people love watching me. People want to hear more about this. I will know easily in our analytics. My friend here, Nate, will tell me that, hey, I think demand is high enough, David. Let's try to go live all night. This system right now does not earn that criteria just because, for one thing, it's a 30-mile-an-hour tropical storm. Number two, really the impacts thus far have been just from sporadic thunderstorm activity from time to time, more of your typical everyday thunderstorm activity. And the second thing is there is medium confidence that, or fairly high confidence that this thing is not going to explode like we had with Milton in the Gulf, all right? Or like we had with Melissa. Hello, okay, thank you, our Graph, I'll just say Graph, our Graph 1989 for the $10 donation. Hello from your weather friends in Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you for everything you do, brother. That means a lot. Thank you for that. Thank you for the $10 dono. So we're up to like $15 already so far. So thank you for that. And again, some of this will go towards the funds for all night live streaming, as that takes a lot of resources up. That because I have to get people to help me out all night, because I can't stay up 24 hours, right? I know I've done it once and it's not healthy. So that's why we don't we reserve that, for big, like if this thing was going to become a Cat 5 hurricane, we would probably be live streaming all night on this right now. We would probably be going live all night on this and probably doing a 5-day fiasco on live streaming. It would probably break records on YouTube for the most live streaming in a week that a YouTube channel can do on a tropical system. But fortunately, the system is not strong for that. So we're just doing a little bit of a discussion, more of an extended live tracking / questionnaire / looking at models kind of thing. And I'll be live here for a little while longer. I do need to eat dinner. I got some yummy pizza downstairs.
And then, also when we do those live streams, you'll get to hear lots of me and lots of Easy as well. Obviously, when David's on, you're going to be getting more of the quality weather analysis. Me and Easy kind of go over and we kind of track it, but not nearly to the extent that David definitely could. But we try our best, and we have entertaining live streams for y'all.
Yeah. Joey asks, will this bring rain to San Antonio, Texas? Right now, the confidence level on that is extremely low. So I'm not going to say for certain, okay, that if it's going to bring a lot of rain. If anything, right now, at the most high-end forecast from just this system, probably between about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. Don't be like the other weather people staying 24/7 watching the storm. Well, that's Big John. Why is that? Like, you don't like people going live 24/7? It's life-saving information. You gotta track this live because L-lysine is a good natural sleep aid. It's the weirdest thing. And I don't want to explain this. I know we're talking about the tropics, but it's just weird. Have you guys, and this is a question that I need you all to please answer me. All right. So I'm not alone in this. Have you guys ever had that grudgy feeling, like that resistive feeling, like, what is it like when I fall asleep? What is it like when I transition into deep sleep? What does it feel like? Even so, I've been sleeping since the first cells were made with me. I've been sleeping for, my gosh, the last 30 years, 30 and a half, to count the time that I was not born yet. So it just is weird that I don't want to go to sleep at night. I'm scared. I feel, I can't explain it. It's just weird. You're very welcome, Joey, as always. So that's a question for you guys. While we track the system, if you have any questions, we'll be providing that. But looking at latest IR satellite imagery. Man, chat just literally got silent. I have a feeling the storm will be like Tropical Storm Arthur in Texas. That is certainly a possibility. And chat is dead. Come on, you guys, chat. Say hello. We have 305 people watching, so it's like interesting that either YouTube is doing its thing with chat or people are just quiet.
Yeah, David, just let me know if you want me to butt in and ask you some questions and kind of do that, kind of keep you a little bit on track. Just let me know if you want any help.
All right. Northeast Weather 1 says, I get that sleep feeling sometimes too. All right. This is not just you. It's gotten better, though. I'll be honest. It's gotten better to where I don't have a hard time falling asleep now. But man, for at least 4 months, 3-ish months, it took me hours to fall asleep. And I thought something more serious was going on. But luckily, it kind of went away. Most of it. Hello from Pierre Part, Louisiana. Pierre. Okay, so you are from, you know what? I wonder if I could add people's locations on this. Can I? I don't think I can. Darn it. Or wait, or can I? Nope. I guess we cannot add locations. So Pierre Part, Louisiana. So you're okay. So you're in Pierre Part. Oh wow, you are under a heat advisory. What's that heat advisory all about? Heat index values up to 110 degrees. Oh my gosh, give me a break. Give me a break. Wow, that is very hot. The cool thing about this is actually we can look at the temperature forecast for that area with the overlays. Pierre Part is not on the map, though. I don't know why they don't have it there. But here is the heat indexes for tomorrow. And it looks like really, really significant heat indexes by the time we go into Tuesday afternoon. 109 in some areas. That is disgusting with dew points in the mid to upper 70s. Whew. That is, I can't stand that. I just can't. What are the chances of this becoming a hurricane? What's up, Theodore Johnson? How's everything? The chances of this becoming a hurricane are 5%. Chances of this becoming a hurricane are 5% right now. I've had that kind of low-hate relationship with sleep all my life. A doctor thinks it's caused I have neurotransmitter imbalance. Uh-oh. Don't tell me you're making me search up something. Uh-oh. Nate, can you take over the stream?
Yeah, is everything all right, David?
Yeah, everything's fine. I'm going to get pizza. But yeah, that got to me a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Just go and get some food. I'll take over the live stream for now.
All right. Thank you, Hallie. Hales Jan 77 for the $5 dono. I appreciate it. Hey, David, you provide a very unique perspective and personality in what you do. Keep up the good work and God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate that very much. Also, if you all can, please subscribe to the channel. It does mean a lot to me. It really does. We're at 76,358 subscribers. So again, if you have not subscribed yet, to show your support for the channel. Also, if you want to donate, can't force you to donate. Please donate as well. There's many ways you could support at also becoming a member. I'll be right back though. Nate, gonna get
Yeah,
myself some
David, if
pizza.
you want to zoom out on the state of Florida and kind of just do like a radar loop, I'll take over from there, just so I
Yep.
have a little bit to talk about.
Yep, there's a radar loop. This is the fastest that I can make it go.
Cool, thank you, David. I appreciate it. So, how's everybody doing? I know David's answered a lot of questions now. I mean, I'm from the state of Florida, so I guess I'll go across. I'll kind of talk about how our weather has been affected by this for a while, and kind of in a good and a bad way. Um, Pinellas County has definitely been seeing the majority of the banding from possibly the second tropical storm of the season. David has the current radar loop showing right now. But as you can tell, our kind of what I mean, our land and our sea breeze is kind of a little bit mixed up. As you can kind of tell, we don't really have our pop up thunderstorms like we usually do. Um, we've been kind of remaining a little bit on the, I don't want to say drier side because it's still pretty moist, but we haven't been getting as much rain for sure. Especially up in the panhandle of Florida, you can obviously tell there's some banding going on. Earlier today, some bands went through. Nothing more than a tropical shower. I don't even think I heard any thunder or any of the sorts. Yesterday, Pinellas County was definitely getting hit the hardest with outer banding. I saw a couple of landspouts videos as well. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Um, but mostly, I think what I would shift towards is the Big Bend of Florida is pretty much out of the woods with this guy who kind of narrowly scraped by with this. Obviously, with the tropical storm watch in effect for Carabel, Panama City, Pensacola, some even having tropical storm warnings due to the low storm surge. Definitely better news for the panhandle of Florida, especially since just a couple of years ago we had Hurricane Helene and also Hurricane Milton at that same time. Um, Also, going more in depth. So, once we get fast forward a little bit further down into the later parts of the week, we'll definitely probably see Mobile go under tropical storm warning, as well as New Orleans go under tropical storm warning as well. Me, as well as David, I do not see this becoming a hurricane. I only see this really becoming a tropical storm at best. Even then, it's kind of dicey. I haven't loved the way that the models have been picking up on on this storm in general. They've been kind of a little bit lackluster, I would say, and they've been kind of late to the game of what it's actually going to do. David did show the steering flows in the beginning. We have two highs right off to the right and to the left, the east and the west. Um, that's going to be our main steering flows for this. And then once the trough ends up coming down through the middle of the country, then we will have a better tell of where this is going to end up going. Um, Definitely look at some questions here. I don't think that this will become a hurricane. Um, Maybe something a little bit down in the future. I could definitely see. Yeah, a few nice thunderstorms in Escambia County. Yep, definitely. Yeah, you guys definitely got a couple. The pop-up thunderstorms kind of have been a little bit suppressed, just kind of surprising, and I'm not complaining. What would you guys like to hear about while David goes in and gets some food here? Where are all you guys from? God, okay. Yeah, definitely. I would say you will have a chance to surf in Panama City for sure. It's going to be more of an offshore wind, which, as of right now, an offshore wind usually does kind of favor a little bit bigger waves for the Panama City, Pensacola area for surfers. At least from that's what I've heard from people who like to do that kind of stuff around here. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida again, so I don't really go to the beach much or very often, but definitely, um, definitely, I think there will be some surfable waves. We just have to see. Alabama coast, Mobile, Alabama. Lots of people from Mobile, Alabama. Shout out to Mobile, Alabama. That's where I went for Hurricane Helene. Yeah, all of Southeast Texas, more than likely. Southeast Texas, yes, you will get under tropical storm warning or tropical storm watch at the least. I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Mobile add that into their morning forecast. I wouldn't really be shocked to see that. Yeah, Cedar Key area, definitely. You guys have definitely been getting a lot of the thunderstorms today, and that will kind of persist into tomorrow and as well as some of Tuesday as well. Apalachicola area has definitely been getting hit by a lot of that as well. I kind of look to the south of me, and it kind of just looks dark a little bit. Now, I wish I was able to control the screen, but I would show windy right now. I guess we'll go over some surf, just for people that like that kind of stuff. Panama City could definitely see 3 foot, 4 foot waves for sure. Currently, they're about 2 feet, but 3 to 4 footers are definitely possible in the near future. All depends on the steering flows of this. Also, if it's an onshore or offshore breeze.
I'm back.
How's it going, David?
Yeah, so I got pizza, but man, I looked that up. That neurotransmitter imbalance thing got my anxiety up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's no problem. Yeah, I asked a couple of questions. I kind of brought up how this storm has been kind of suppressing our afternoon thunderstorms in Florida quite a bit. But besides that, yeah, I'll let you go right back into it.
Someone is saying hoping to see 6 foot of storm surge. Why do you guys want the worst? Oh my gosh. No. We do not want to see 6 foot of storm surge. That wouldn't be good. That would not be good at all. I expect to wake up to tropical storm warnings here on the Alabama coast. I wouldn't be surprised. It really will depend on the evolution and over the next. New NHC advisory is out. 30 miles an hour, and it looks like we have a depression now at the end of the forecast cone, which means they show weakening. It doesn't look to get as strong. Hey, we have Fausto. How do you say that? Fausto. Oh my gosh, I can't even say that name. Another storm out there in the Eastern Pacific. I want to look at this, and it calls for 110 miles an hour. Letter F storm already, and we're on the way of getting another one behind that. Literally, and this storm, by the way, going to be far enough offshore off the Bay Area to not bring us really anything other than some monsoonal stuff. But yeah, really active East Pacific. Let's see with what it's showing here on our discussion. 60 at the very end of the forecast. So they're still calling for this to become 60 miles an hour. But I think a 50 mile an hour, 45 to 50 is pretty solid at this time. I think this is going to have winds that are at least 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's what the NHC forecast calls now at the moment. Right here. Up to 50 miles an hour in 3 days, 4 days, 60, which I Let me see, though, what their discussion shows. The depression is produced in a small area of deep convection near and north of the apparent center, with other modest bands mostly in the eastern semicircle. Since the previous satellite intensity estimates are unchanged and the nearby surface observations haven't reported much more than 20 knots, the initial intensity will remain 25 knots for this advisory. This is also consistent with a just received partial scatometer pass. The system is drifting to the northwest, caught in light steering between a ridge over the western Atlantic and one over the south central United States. That's literally with what we just talked about. Okay, so the system's getting mired between these two ridges, as we discussed. So that's pretty much, he's basically saying what I kind of orchestrated to you guys. Most of the guidance suggests that the slow motion with some turn to the west-northwest will continue early this week, and the cyclone's outer bands could bring tropical storm conditions to portions of the Florida Panhandle beginning late Monday. A turn to the west and an increase in forward speed are forecasted late on Tuesday as the ridge over the U.S. builds eastward, causing the system to move along or just offshore off the northwestern Gulf Coast during the middle and the latter portions of the week. The track has been shifted a bit to the north in the short term, blending back with the previous forecast on day 2. Then a bit to the south at long term. Okay, this is consistent with the latest model consensus and Google DeepMind solutions. So now, more importantly here with the intensity forecast. Only slow strengthening of the system is expected due to its broad structure, pockets of mid-level dry air, and northeasterly vertical wind shear. So we've talked all about those things. The dry air, folks, and the northeasterly vertical wind shear is what's causing a lot of imperfections in this organization process. Despite deep, warm waters. So there is plenty of heat content, folks. Waters are in the mid to upper 80s. It's just the environmental, the atmosphere. The atmosphere is like land. It's an obstacle going against the system. The cyclone is still forecasted to become a tropical storm on Monday when it is offshore off the Florida Panhandle. An increase in vertical wind shear is expected by Tuesday, which could cause the intensity to flatline, along with some land interaction. This is a challenging forecast because of the expected moderate shear conditions, which are known to result in less predictable outcomes. For instance, I really like Blake. I forgot his last name, but Blake Brown, I think is his name. Blake Brown, something like that. Really good forecaster at the NHC. For an instance, reliable models are spread from near dissipation by the ECMWF and HAVS guidance, but near hurricane intensity in the latest HWRF and HMON runs. Okay, so actually, the fact that they're bringing this forward is a bit on the concerning side because so that means those models are not really outliers. They are still potential candidates here. Okay. The NHC forecast continues to lie between those solutions, but it should be mentioned that I don't have much confidence in this prediction given the above factors. Okay. I mean, I have never heard of a forecaster on the NHC literally say that I don't have much confidence in this prediction given the above factors. That is how uncertain this forecast actually is. I mean, I could actually say we can't forecast beyond 24 hours. It's literally a Melissa situation here. Not that this system's going to be as strong as Melissa. No, definitely not. But the track forecast is as challenging, or if not, even more challenging. Actually, Melissa was at least able to move a little bit westward just a little bit, maybe like at 1 or 3 miles an hour, this system is not moving at all. And it has not moved virtually over the last 24 hours. So this is very challenging. And I'm not joking. I mean, I'm going with Blake Brown on this one. I really am. I feel with him on this. This is a very challenging forecast. There's just, I mean, in theory, in hypothetical terms, folks, there could be a track literally jamming into Panama City, Florida, or a track in hypothetical terms south of Texas. Look at the cone. Look how big this cone is. In fact, you know what? Let me see here on weather front, because on weather front, we could actually bring this up. Yes, so winds are up to about 60 miles an hour. So look at the track guidance. This is incredible. Okay, so let's measure from here to here. That is almost a 500-mile spread in the track guidance. Nate, look how big that is. That's a big cone of uncertainty. Really big.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, David. I mean, it's kind of like what we were calling for earlier, though.
I mean, 460 miles of a forecast area here. That's pretty big. That is not...
Definitely very uncertain.
Yeah. So, in my personal opinion, okay, as a forecaster, okay, on a forecaster standpoint, as on a high level of weather enthusiast here. I can't call myself a meteorologist because I don't go to school for this. I don't have time for that, honestly, with everything that's going on in the background. But from a forecaster perspective, okay, I would still pay very close attention I would roughly say from Brownsville, Texas, Corpus Christi, all the way to Houston, Texas, and New Orleans, and even areas like Port St. Joe need to be watching this closely because, again, if this gets any closer, then Port St. Joe could get a lot of impacts, okay? And just so you know, impacts can occur. Well, the cone of uncertainty does not show us the size of the storm. It just gives us the level of uncertainty. In fact, I don't think... Okay, hold on a second. Why am I not able to bring up other things on this? Okay, I'll have to figure that out later. But the thing here is this is a very uncertain forecast. I'm just going to say that. I mean, doesn't give us our numbers here. Yeah, I mean, it takes until July 22nd to make its first potential landfall in Louisiana. So it takes 4 days, about 4 days for it to make landfall there. That's pretty slow. That is very slow. In fact, if we take a measurement, yeah, it's 285. So about 4 days. So that's 96 hours, right? If I got that right, do I have... Oh, wait, no. That's not. Today's the 19th. We're looking at the 22nd. So that is 3-ish more days. I would probably say 90 hours. So we got mileage here. So 250 miles divided by, I'd say 90 hours, roughly. That storm's only moving at 2.8 miles per hour. 2.8 miles per hour. That's not moving at all. That's barely moving. Okay, so. But then it speeds up after that. Once it finds its track, then it's going to accelerate a little bit. And that's what we see in the official forecast. So even the storm, the National Hurricane Center forecaster, Blake Brown, is even saying, I cannot make a prediction. Like, I don't have much confidence in this prediction. So even the confidence that he has on this cone is very low confidence. Very, very low. I would be interested in seeing how this cone evolves over the next 2 to 3 days. We'll see wild shifts all over the place probably. So yeah, confidence is unusually highly low right now. I mean, you could probably give a 1% cone confidence at day 5. That's where we're at, day 5. Let's look at the latest messages from the National Hurricane Center. So the depression is expected to gradually strengthen and could bring tropical storm conditions to portions of the Florida Panhandle beginning late Monday, where a tropical storm watch is in effect. Interest in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas should monitor the progress of the system, as watches could be required for portions of that area over the next couple of days. Areas of flash flooding will be possible through Thursday along the eastern and central Gulf Coast from western Florida to the southern portions of Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And when we look at the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds, we're looking at chances anywhere between about 5 to 20%. Those chances have not come up at all. Even like southern Louisiana, Grand Isle, you only have a 10% chance of tropical storm force winds by very early morning hours of Wednesday. I mean, those chances are quite low. Okay, and there's the maximum chances here are at 40%. So goes to show you that this is really, really low confidence. This is not a high confidence forecast. Rainfall has not updated. So we still got our same rainfall amounts. Like I said earlier, Tallahassee could get up to maybe 1.5 to 2.5 inches. South of there could get a little bit more. Mobile could get about 1 inch. New Orleans could get about 1 inch to 1.75 inches. When you look at our risk for flooding over the area, Houston, Lake Charles, New Orleans, you have a 15% chance of getting some heavy rainfall and flooding with this. Now, again, this would probably be very low confidence given with what we're seeing right now. So keep that in mind, okay? So there's 15%. And then when we look at our storm surge forecast, that still remains the same at 3 feet for Indian Pass along the entire or a good majority of the Big Bend of Florida. 3 feet is deemed rather significant. Think about it. You stand in a 3-foot deep pool, like a swimming pool, that water is going to come up to your waist. All right, so keep that in mind, okay? Some storm surge is anticipated regardless of intensity here. All right. Looking at the track guidance forecast, nothing has changed. Again, with what Blake Brown was talking about on the getting my words mixed up here, NHC forecast. We can see here the 500 millibar steering flow. It remains very challenging for this system, and you can see why that is. This ridge begins to migrate and build eastward. So it kind of does this. The subtropical ridge over the western Atlantic tries to build also towards the west. So this trough, these lower heights here begin to gradually fill in, and the system gets captured underneath that ridge. But until that happens, we have a lot of uncertainty in the forecast. We can see that high that is in place, how that system just pretty much gets mired underneath. And so that's what we have. Not much new since I started the live stream here. Pretty much all of our guidance is pretty uncertain. We will wait for the ensembles, but I did want to show you all the Weather Prediction Center excessive rainfall outlook. So we do have slight risk, yeah. So this is for day 4. So there's a slight risk for heavy rainfall. Let's go to weather front. There we go. A slight risk for heavy rainfall for Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Louisiana, Gulfport, New Orleans. Under that slight risk for heavy rainfall, okay? So again, there's that 15% risk for river flooding, small creek and stream flooding, some roadway flooding as well. So please take that seriously, all right, to some extent. And then day 5, we only go out to 5 days on this. There's a slight risk for heavy rainfall and flooding for Victoria, for Bay City, El Campo, Lake Jackson, Galveston, Houston, as well as Beaumont, Cameron, Lake Charles, Lafayette, Abbeville, Franklin under that slight risk for heavy rainfall by day 5. Okay. And to be specific, there's even a slight risk up here, not really related to our tropical system. Some of that moisture could get strung out towards the northeast. So we have Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Wilmington, North Carolina that are under slight risk for heavy rainfall for day 5 and also for day 4. And parts of day 3, literally. So very wet East Coast, it looks like, over the next few days. Nate.
Yeah, definitely, David. I definitely agree with you on that. That's kind of like what I was talking about a little bit while you were gone as well. Just the overall wet conditions that we're going to be seeing.
Yep. And Florida is looking at above average rain, leaning above average rainfall over the next 2 weeks, which is great news there. You all need the drought to be relieved there. So some good news there. Temperature-wise, not so good news. It's going to be warm and wet, so more kind of on the muggier side. But whew, boy, if you're in the high plains, this is where it's really going to be far above average. 70% chance that you will have above average temperatures because of that ridge. So yeah, summer is not over for some locations. Summer is not over. In fact, do I rarely go outside my tropical weather box here, but over the next couple of days, it is going to be pretty hot over here with temperatures that are in the triple digits. Combine that with some humidity, your heat indexes will be between 105 to 110 degrees area-wide because of those dew points that are going to be high. So yeah, take this heat seriously. It's no joke at all. It's going to definitely be burning out there. Your bodies are going to be frying out in that hot weather, and it looks like it's going to be hot again for Tuesday and even into Wednesday as that ridge really establishes itself. And oh my gosh, I'm just seeing this. Heat indexes, whoa, heat indexes are really significant on the RFS model. 115 up to 115 heat indexes. That is ridiculous. With dew points even in the 80s in some areas, upper 70s. That is, oh, I can't stand that. That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. Your air temperatures are going to be in the upper 90s to near 100 with the heat indexes that are going to be up to almost 115. That is gross. That is... wow. I don't know how you all can stand that, but I would never live my life in Louisiana or the Deep South, ever. Yep, more heat for sure. That is a guarantee. And it's this ridge. That ridge is going to be the game player. That high is just sitting right over Texas. In fact, if we look at low-level temperatures, yeah, look at these low-level temperatures over the high plains. I mean, this is significant. This is 30 Celsius, 32 Celsius, 28 Celsius. That is pretty significant. That is really significant. Heat dome right there. Even 20 Celsius at 10,000 feet over the Rockies. That is a big, big, big deal. That is a heat dome and a half right there. All right, Nate, I'm going to have some of my pizza, but you can talk. I'll have radar up. I'll be moving radar around. So don't go anywhere. Oh, and we just got new information. We have extreme heat warnings now out for Mississippi, parts of Mississippi and Little Rock. Warranted for heat indexes up to 115 degrees. 115 degree heat indexes. That is dangerous. That's deadly, actually. Actually, extreme heat risk cannot be ruled out. Actually, you know what? Let me look at the heat risk. I know we should be looking at the tropics, but heat risk. That's going to be the thing. Heat risk map. Let's see. Yeah, here it is right here. Yep, there it is. So for tomorrow, there is extreme heat risk for these areas. Over the next 3 days, extreme heat is expected. Not a good situation. Not a good situation. And it becomes more widespread on Tuesday. I think Tuesday is going to be the worst day for many population here to get major to extreme heat risk and possibly even some record high temperatures potentially as well. So not a good mix at all. Not a good mix. Please stay indoors. Please stay indoors. All right. You there, Nate? All right. I'm going to...
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Please also periodically promote the YouTube channel as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, guys, just kind of going over what David said. Yeah, we definitely have extraordinarily high temperatures all throughout Texas, Mississippi, Alabama area. Yeah, those are some high heat indexes. Now, let's get back to our system here. I've been seeing a couple of questions on it. We'll definitely get to it. I saw the Panda crash. Should you cancel your trip? No, I don't think you should cancel your trip. Port St. Joe should be all right for the time being. Maybe just pack some rainy weather equipment. I mean, maybe an umbrella or two. I wouldn't cancel that though. Now, if we were to go back to the discussion, we could talk a little bit about that. Yeah, not much certainty, kind of like what David was saying a little bit earlier. Not a lot of certainty whatsoever on that system. Yeah, I definitely, one girl nine, it definitely should move away by Florida by at latest Thursday. Yeah. And that will be out of the woods. I wouldn't cancel vacation plans. I wouldn't change your day-to-day lives. This is just something I kind of be focused on, but not necessarily scared of. I wouldn't necessarily move or change plans for the system. Now, I know as I discussed a little bit earlier, our land and our sea breeze was a little bit disrupted just because of this system that just, overpowered it. And our pop-up thunderstorms in Florida, at least, are definitely not here. I don't know about the deep south. I don't know what they have to say, but we definitely have none of that currently. Now, I see David manipulating the screen a little bit. As we can see, still kind of a wishy-washy sort of eye, I guess you would say. There's not much of a centralized area currently of where we really know where there's a distinct eye. Destin, Tuesday through Friday, I would say, Destin, you're okay. Definitely, like you said, we're going to see some of the impacts. But then again, it's just tropical storm. What we call that in Florida is rain with a name, but obviously we got to be a little bit careful and kind of do that. Impacts for Houston, we're unsure on impacts for Houston. Honestly, we don't really know what's going to be going on or what's going to happen here. David's showing right now currently some of the stronger winds is like 23 miles an hour, as David was showing right there. Now, if we go a little bit into the future, it could definitely strengthen to a possibly a strong tropical storm. We'll have to see. Now, guys, if you guys aren't already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It means the world to David and his channel. He really appreciates you guys, and he tries to put out the best product he possibly can every single day. We're going to be here for you guys whenever there's a major storm on its way. This is David's bread and butter. David loves doing this. If he could do this full time, I bet he would. But you got to make money elsewhere. So, but David, we love you. We know you're probably listening to this. Enjoy your food. Any questions? Any questions? I know I already addressed the Destin vacation plans. No, I wouldn't say that's bad. This isn't really going to be much for Florida. I would say this is going to be more of a kind of a Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana kind of threat. I would say maybe, but overall, it's not going to be that bad. Now, also, guys, we do have merch for sale as well. Um, that's going to be David Schlotthauer merch. If you click on David's YouTube channel and you can click on the channel page, it'll take you directly to the merch. Um, that's about it. But how's everybody been surviving this summer? It's been relatively hot here in Florida, at least. Um, not too sure about everything else. We do know that we have that heat dome coming. Um, the storm is going to be sheared. We just don't know when it will be. It's currently under shear right now as we're speaking. David, didn't you say Mobile, Alabama will get about 5 inches of rainish, 4 or 5 inches of rain possibly? Still unsure on how much.
Hold on. So Mobile, Alabama. So when we take a look at the I look at the national blended model. I don't, or the HRDF guidance, because that gives us a broader picture of how much rain is expected. So the total amounts of rainfall, well, of course, this model does not show the center impacting Mobile at all very much. So only 0.3 of an inch in Mobile, Alabama. When we take a look at the GFS, though, it's also pretty stark. When we look at let's go to the National Blend model. National Blend also shows about 0.3. So Mobile doesn't look like they're going to get a whole, actually, wait, hold on. Here we go. 5 days, about 0.4 of an inch. Had to scroll, or had to move the slider a little over. So Mobile, Alabama, only 0.4 of an inch. Carabel, though, that's going to be the area to really watch for significant rainfall. Apalachicola, about 3 to almost 4 inches of rainfall. Port St. Joe, about 4 inches. So right along this Tallahassee coastline of the panhandle of Florida really needs to be watching for maybe the risk of some flooding down the line. Actually, wait. That's the old, what? I have the old data. What the heck? I didn't even need to update this. Okay, you guys, false alarm on that. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Mobile is going to get a lot more. Sorry about that. We got an inch in Mobile, Alabama that is anticipated. Actually, after the system goes through. It's actually 0.4 of an inch as the storm's going by. Similar rainfall totals in the areas that I just mentioned. So Carabel, about 3 to 4 inches. Apalachicola, about 2 to 3 inches. That's the latest on our rainfall forecast right now. And yeah, even so, it's going to be only a low to mid-grade tropical storm. Look at the rainfall offshore here, getting close to 10 inches. And look at Grand Isle, almost maybe 4 inches of rainfall. That is significant. All right, I'm going to go back and eating my pizza.
Yep, you go right ahead to that, David. So as David just went over the whole entire rainfall total, I know people in Florida, we like to call these things just rain with a name, but this is definitely something that's kind of a changing situation for everybody at any given time. I mean, straight away, Mobile, Alabama, that was only predicted 1/10 of an inch of rain, and now look at our rain totals for that now. Um, it definitely changes from time to time, and also even the NHC forecaster, he said that he wasn't even confident with his prediction. So, I mean, we have no idea how much rain we're going to get in Tallahassee. We have no idea how much rain. I would definitely err on the side of more rain being in the Carabel, Apalachicola, Port St. Joe kind of area. I wouldn't say it's enough to cancel trips per se. But that's a definitely where I think I would lean on the more side of precipitation wise for this system. And then the wind impacts, obviously, for a low to mid grade tropical storm are going to be negligible. Was asking if stalling generally makes a storm stronger once there's enough enough deep ocean heat content. Usually a stalling system would technically, you would sort of see more of intensification. That's kind of like a worry in a way, but definitely with this storm, it's just under so much shear. It can't really undergo that intensification. as much as something else that may or another type of system could. Why does Florida get so many storms anyway? Well, Florida's just kind of in a prime area for these kind of hurricanes. It's a tropical environment, so obviously, if you kind of put just the way it's shaped, it's like a giant kind of pillar just reaching right into the ocean. It's the peninsula, so um, that's definitely a big reason why we get so many storms here. Also, for thunderstorms wise, if you're talking about thunderstorms, why we get thunderstorms all the time, our land and our sea breeze. During the day, we get a sea breeze. At night, we get a land breeze. Um, so yeah, pretty much when we're getting moisture from the ocean, and then we have the sun heating up the ground and causing that uplifting action, we get a thunderstorm. And that's where you'll see the kind of thunderstorms that come out of nowhere in Florida for sure. And yeah, David's.
All right, I'm back. I have one more piece of pizza to eat, then I'll be all your guys's talk here.
That's
But
all right, David.
but yeah, looking at the temperatures here, you can even see on the tropical system, you can see the impacts of that rain that actually cools the air down.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said a little bit earlier today, it's kind of when those thunderstorms kind of come through, at least for in Florida, we kind of get this. It kind of relieves the temperatures a little bit. It kind of lifts it up in a way. Kind of like as you can kind of tell right there with the winds. It's kind of like a big circle, kind of like a semicircle. I don't know if you want to show that, David. Part of Texas will get the most rain. Texas rainfalls is, I would say, it's kind of up in the air. We're not sure. Yeah, Florida's weather is very unpredictable, I would say. It's always been. It's just, um, I mean, you could always I could be a meteorologist and say that you're going to have a thunderstorm at 6 p.m. in Florida, and I can be right pretty much 9 times out of 10. But it's unpredictable just because we don't know where they're going to form usually. We can kind of have a general estimate, but we're not entirely sure. Yeah, definitely Pensacola. I would say this storm is going to bring the majority of the impacts towards the Carabel area, Apalachicola area. I know a lot of people vacation in the Port St. Joe area, as well as people vacation on, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. It's not Carabel, it's the island that's right there. Huh, forgetting the name. I've gone there a couple of times. If anybody wants to, if anybody wants to jog my memory, that'd be nice.
I have literally 10% of this pizza left. All right, but someone was probably referring to going live on the channel. So I am going to be going live more than likely tomorrow, like I did today. So I think the pattern is video, live stream, video, live stream. So every morning I'll have a video out, and every afternoon I'll probably go live since that's prime time for a lot of people. So that's probably what I will end up doing. So it balances things out on the channel. So my next video after this live stream will probably be out at around 5:30 or so in the morning is the plan to get that video out on YouTube.
Yeah, cool, David. That sounds good. And yeah, like I said, St. George Island, that area, Carabel, St. George Island, Port St. Joe, Panama City Beach, Mexico Beach, those are going to be seeing the most rain, I would definitely say, out of this system. Again, winds are going to be kind of negligible with this. We don't really know where it's going to go. David was discussing that a little bit earlier. We have no idea where this is going. I would not cancel any vacation plans for any of for this system at all. Like I said, it'll maybe just be some rain impacts for a day or two, but I wouldn't go ahead and cancel a vacation over it. Definitely not. I think David would also agree with me on that. I don't think he would want to cancel a nice vacation like that over some rain.
Unless there's lightning, then maybe.
Yeah, if there's lots of lightning, then yeah. But yeah, definitely.
I'm not a fan of lightning.
Yeah, David does not like lightning. See, I like lightning. I like those kinds of things.
Hopefully you did not hear me eat my pizza. I forgot to mute myself.
No, you're all good. Don't worry about it. I can hear you at least, so. And yeah, for me, this kind of is throwing a wrench into plans. I'm a pilot around in the Tallahassee area, so I kind of haven't been able to fly a whole lot recently. Lots of thunderstorms from this and just overall rain, bad conditions.
All right, I am back for another probably 8 minutes. I'll call it quits here. Make this a 2.5 hour live stream so I could recharge for tonight so I can make my next video. But how's everybody doing out there? Hey, if you all want to follow my X page, it's called @WeatherUnited1. I'm almost at 3,000 followers on this. So if you have not followed me there yet, you can literally follow me. I'm all over the place. I'm mainly discussing about El Nino because that is a big climate phenomenon that we're looking at. And speaking of El Nino, actually, I did a little bit of research on it just to change things up. The atmospheric response with this El Nino for the month of July is actually the strongest ever on record. The atmospheric coupling pattern with El Nino. So the atmosphere has to change because of the sea surface temperature warmth that we're seeing in the central and eastern Pacific. So it's really causing a lot of the atmosphere is coupling really well, and what it does is it lowers pressures in the central and eastern Pacific, and higher pressures usually form over Australia. And the oceanic atmospheric coupling pattern is so significant that it beats any modern records. I mean, you can't get it's stronger than 1982-83. It is stronger than 1997-98, which is why I'm pretty darn concerned about this winter coming up, especially for the Deep South and for California. We could be looking at a handful of big storms this winter time, and that means I'll probably be exceptionally busy on my YouTube channel. I will be busy. I will probably not get a break at times. So yeah, El Nino is pretty extreme. But how's everybody doing? Boy, we have one heck of a complex of thunderstorms over here right off the coast of Port Sulphur in Louisiana. Nice good complex. Lots of lightning this storm is producing right now. Lots of lightning. A crap ton of lightning. This is where our low is right now. It looks like it's over here, and it has not moved. It has not moved. Yeah, it's barely moving. Actually, in the latest update, north-northwest at 30 miles an hour. So it looks like it is moving a little bit. So it has resumed its move a little bit. But I mean, 1 to 3 miles an hour is not really that fast.
David, I think this is just kind of a little bit entertaining, kind of something to show. If you look at the NAM, the latest NAM run, it has it being a 999 at 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Today?
Yep, the July 20th.
What the heck? See, this
Yeah,
is why we don't use the NAM. Let's see. It does show that. What the heck?
Yeah, this thing is a lackluster storm at best, and then it goes ahead and shows a near hurricane.
I like how it shows a 968 millibar system in like 45 hours right off the coast of Mobile, Alabama, which I do not believe. I'm sorry. You can go to HELL NAM. Literally, you can go just to trash. Because you're inaccurate. You're very inaccurate with tropical systems. And I don't know why people still have their eyeballs on the high-resolution models. It's like, let's use hurricane models. Let's now cast this, and let's see which one wins the battle.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything else on X. By the way, let me actually bring my X handle here so you all can follow me if you want. This is my X page. Right there. That's my X page if you all want to check it out. See if anyone has been cherry picking anything. Oh, I'm not surprised. The meteorological eclipse cherry picks every worst case scenario. Oh my God.
Yeah, also, David, I don't know. I don't know if I personally kind of like the RGEM a little bit. The RGEM model's been kind of consistent with what it's been showing. I don't know how you feel about it.
I really like what Tomer Berg says about this system. Okay, this is the multi-model grand ensemble. So this is a super blend ensemble. And this is, of course, plot by Tomer Berg. So you can see this is as of this morning, though. So this might have changed a little bit. But, I mean, if you look at all the ensemble spread, the densest plume is right where that ensemble mean is, right where that black line is. That's where you have a 40 to 50% chance of getting this system into your area. And the probability of a center location. This is not wind-driven chances, okay? So let's just put that into consideration. And this is taken into consideration with all the EPS, GEFS, Canadian Ensemble, UK Met Ensemble, Icon Ensemble, Artificial Intelligence Model Ensemble, Google DeepMind Ensemble, Google GenCast Ensemble, and there's a new one. So yeah, this is the grand slam of all cams, of all models that you could ever find. Again, chances for the center, not for wind, okay? So don't think that, oh, this red area means there's a very high chance for tropical storm force winds. No, this is the chances for a center location. And we can see there is at least a 75 to 85% chance that this is going to go over Grand Isle, Louisiana, compared to the end of the forecast where there's still a 35 to 45% chance. So still chances are rather on the low side with westward extent. So Andy is spot on here. He says this is one application where track density is very valuable. Even though the ensemble mean clearly continues TDDs to track west into Texas, the track density magnitude decreases as less and less members show it surviving the further west it goes. So that's kind of what we look at here. One thing I'm noticing is a lot of these ensemble runs is what is called survivor biased. The members that go inland and die off quickly are gone in a couple of days. So the only ones still with an active TC are the ones further south. This gives the impression of a tight ensemble. Okay. So that's what we got to understand. See what else. Anyone cherry picking. Good job. I think X has been a great day today. No one has been doing any cherry picking other than meteorological eclipse. More El Nino content here. Looks like this El Nino could be peaking at 4.75 degrees. 4.75 degree. Oh, wait, is that right, actually? Oh, wait, anomaly in degrees Celsius. Yeah, that is right. Yikes. Yeah, this is a big El Nino. I mean, up to 4.75 degrees, particularly by November, above average. Whew. That is, I am speechless. Sorry. That is massive. Nothing new. Nothing new. At least someone knows how to post something about the H Wharf right here. No cherry picking on that. Golly, look what Retimmer made. 1,000 ensemble members. 1,000 ensemble members. Median peak is 59 miles an hour. Reach hurricane force is at 14%. So I was saying about 5%. So he's a little higher in chances than me. So we're really going to need to keep an eye on this. I don't know how someone could really take the time to plot all of that. That's incredible. That is incredible. Yeah. Looks like. New cone shows landfall in Port Sulphur, Louisiana, which will limit the strength opportunities. That's what it looks like, yeah. Storm chasing John. But before I do end it, because we're kind of derailing gradually since we kind of covered the tropics, what really does stand out to me as a whole on everything is if we look at the Atlantic, look far out in time. So get to 12Z. I've not paid attention to the MDR, and there's good reason for that. Because I don't think there's going to be anything that forms at all through the end of the month now, it looks like. We don't see much in the way of development. Yeah, nothing on the latest Euro model. Let's look at the vertical wind shear. And there's exactly why your vertical wind shear is pretty darn strong. Literally, nothing is going to get into the Caribbean. Nothing is getting into the Caribbean. And looking at the deep layer moisture plot, there's a lot of brown, lots of brown over the area, which indicates just so much dry air. So, yeah, if you all are witch casting on the tropics that will get active in late July, right now it's up in the air, but what I'm about to show you does clearly decide that probably won't be any development. Actually, this little guy right over here might actually try developing down the line. We'll see about that. We will see. It's very far out, and you know how the GFS is. It's like a little mid-level circulation right there at 10 millibar or at 700 millibars, but otherwise pretty quiet in the deep tropics. And the vertical wind shear is all to blame. Actually, vertical wind shear decreases a little bit in the central Atlantic. On the other hand, the East Pac gonna show its true colors for El Nino. You can definitely see there are multiple storms that develop. You can see right here. Let's bring the arrow out. So you can see right here, there are multiple storms that do develop, that form up at the end of the month into early August. Man, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas of interest. 6 areas of interest. That is tropical outbreak, I should say. Tropical outbreak. Let's see what the Euro is showing before I head off here. Yeah, the Euro is not as optimistic. Holy cow. Oh my heavens gosh. Is that 987 or is that 887? Whoa, that's low. I know we are supposed to talk about our system, but just before ending this live stream, 887 sub 900 millibar system again on the Euro, on another typhoon in the Western Pacific. Except this one is going to be way too north for a radar to be captured. So I probably won't be talking much about that since it's going to be way to the north of the radar site. But man, things are busy in the Pacific. And that El Nino footprint really well in place. You can get an idea of that. Higher pressure over Australia, lower than normal pressure over the Central Pacific, so that El Nino is only going to get stronger. It's only going to get stronger. In fact, if you all are very curious about how strong this El Nino actually is, I need to make another update. I probably will not have time for one for a while, potentially, because of this system. So we'll probably skip the end of the month and just do one again at the beginning of August. But look at this El Nino. Oops, can we zoom out? Let's see. Yeah, look at this El Nino right here. Those are your sea surface temperature anomalies. Those are your sea surface temperature anomalies. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. We're already around 3 degrees Celsius across our Nino 3 and Nino 3.4 region. In fact, if we go actually into the Central Pacific, and you guys, I wanted to show you this really, yeah, look at that. We're at already 3.4 Celsius as far as I can tell south of Hawaii. That is immense. And not only that, I wanted to show you something from last year. Look at our warm pool. So I want you all to really pay attention to this, and then I'll get to the last bits of questions that you guys might have, and then we'll head out from there. But this is where our warm pool last year was. Our warm pool was over here, just pretty much over Indonesia, over the Philippines. But look at this, and you guys are going to be like, holy cow. Look at where the warm pool is here. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. That comparison from last year to this year. Holy cow. Incredible. This is 31.5 Celsius in the middle of that. So I would probably place a lot of bets. Let me see here. Let me get my... how warm that is. I think it's warmer than what this is showing. Because 31.5 Celsius. Let's do 31. Okay, that's about 88. If it's 31.5, that's 88. That's 89 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 89 degrees in Fahrenheit right there. I know it's hard to see because this is all blocked out. But yeah, that is substantial. That is very far east, that warm pool. That is incredible. And that's why our El Nino is very, very substantial. And like I said in previous X posts, if you all want to follow me on X, I would highly recommend doing so, because I'm probably going to work on a El Nino discussion on that sometime tomorrow. I'll see. Because this El Nino is going to be the strongest. It's going to be historic. It is going to be the world's strongest El Nino in recorded history, dating back to 1877. 1877. Could California get a landfall or hurricane with the warm temperature waters? No, I don't think so, because for one thing, we have a negative PDO, and there is quite a bit of good fetch of cooler water. So if a hurricane did want to turn like this, it would have to move very fast. I mean, like 40 miles an hour, 40 to 50 to even make its way up here into California if it was strong enough. But yeah, the sea surface temperatures along the California coast, we get a lot of northerly prevailing winds, which help to upwell some of the cooler water. You can even see a little bit of that upwelling locally. So that keeps our waters in the mid 50s during the summertime. But down here, it's a lot warmer. So yeah, over here, you would get a near miss. So something similar to Hillary could turn up and curve out like that, or do something like that. But a direct slam into the Bay Area, no, that's not likely. That's almost impossible. But those waters are very warm. I mean, in the far eastern Pacific, they are running at 32.5 Celsius. That is 32.6. That's about 91 degrees in Fahrenheit. That is incredible. Can we please discuss Tropical Depression 2? Yes, let's do one quick update on it, and then I will head off. So Tropical Depression 2 has winds of 30 miles an hour. It still remains disorganized. I mean, it's almost naked at this time. There's only a couple of areas of deep convection that the system is exhibiting right now. But right now, it looks very anemic. It needs to consolidate a little more before that sheer and dry air really plague the system. The best area of thunderstorms is actually right off the coast of Louisiana. Look at that burst of deep convection rolling itself down to the south here. Maybe a little bit of a complex or an MCV feature. But right now, winds are at, again, like I said, they are fairly weak at 30 miles an hour, and it is moving very slow to the north-northwest at 3 miles per hour. All right, any questions, anybody? Last call for questions. If you have not subscribed to the channel, folks, please consider doing so. This is where we're at with our subscriber number right now. So again, if you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so, because the goal is 100,000 subscribers. Easy told me back in January, I think we'll hit 100,000 by the end of this year. It's only going to be done if you guys decide to subscribe. So if you have not done so, please consider doing so. What's your question? David, if a major hurricane stalls over the deep ocean heat content and low shear for some time, would it intensify more rapidly without cold upwelling? Yes. So if you have a lot of upper ocean heat content, that's like octane fuel. That's gasoline. That's gasoline for our storm, okay? Because it's going to upwell warmer water. It's not going to bring up much cold water. So the higher the value of upper ocean heat content, the more heat you have in the ocean to upwell. So yes, to your point, higher upper ocean heat content leads typically to much more intense hurricanes. We saw that with Melissa. You all thought I was joking around with the maximum potential intensity with the upper ocean heat content. You were like I was saying that, wow, it's going to be moving over the biggest patch, highest patch of upper ocean heat content, and you watch Melissa explode. Literally, that's what it did. Will Mobile get tropical storm conditions? There is a slim possibility that Mobile will get tropical storm conditions, but don't think that you will get a lot of rainfall, okay? This is one of those systems that northeasterly vertical wind shear will actually prevent the majority of heavy rainfall over Mobile. Not that Mobile will not see rainfall. You will see at least a quarter of an inch to maybe a half an inch of rainfall, but we are not looking at anything in the way of, say, we're not looking at anything in the way of like 4 or 5 inches or a foot of rainfall. No, that's not going to happen with this system because the vertical wind shear coming out of the northeast will tilt the vortex to the south. So the heaviest weather is going to be on the southern side of the circulation instead of the northern side. Hello, is it going to hit Florida? I'm not sure at all at this point. I'm not sure at all at this point either, along with Blake Brown. So right now, I would probably say no, but you will get some wind. Winds between 15 to 25 miles per hour over western panhandle of Florida. That's what I expect. Now watch Melissa explode. Exactly. Melissa was the strongest hurricane I have ever tracked on my YouTube channel. And that was a live stream that gave me 3,000 subscribers in a single day. And I had like 13 or 14,000 people watching me. That was the biggest ever live stream ever on my YouTube channel. Never have I gotten that many people watching all at once. So yeah, the winds already knocked out my internet for 3 days. Uh-oh, you have no internet? Well, electricity is a lot more important. Internet is very important, unless you're working from home, then it's critically important. But power is a lot more important. You need your electricity. Is it worth to storm chase this into Vince, Louisiana? I'm from Florida. Honestly, that's based on experience. If you think you can do it, you can do it. Vince is here. What part of Florida are you in? Michael, what part of Florida are you in? If you are in like Tallahassee or say the far western panhandle, then it won't take you much time to get there. But if you're like in Miami, that's a long trip. That's a long trip in a car. Tied for strongest. Okay, it's a tie. Okay, I thought it was like 200 something miles an hour. Melissa does deserve a 200 mile an hour upgrade though. Lakeland, Florida. Okay, so let's go to Lakeland, Florida. Lakeland. Yep, you're a bit distant from that. So it's kind of up to you. I would say if you want to chase this, I would probably plan for it now and then leave tomorrow. But of course, I am not your local official. I am not going to say that you should or you shouldn't. That's up to you. That's your own judgment. I'm not going to judge for you. It's based on your expertise. It is based on your knowledge. And yeah, it's based on your knowledge of how dangerous storm chasing can actually be. So it's not my decision. I'm not going to decide for you. It's a 10-hour drive. So yeah, you have to sacrifice a 10-hour drive when the forecast is pretty uncertain. So what would you recommend? I would probably, if you're willing to spend at least a week, give it 7 days. If you're willing to spend 7 days away from where you live to just chase this, because you're probably going to have to move around. You're probably going to be like, oh, it looks like it's going to head towards Panama City. Okay, we'll park here. Oh, no, it looks like it's turning more towards Gulfport, Mississippi. So you're going to have to make quick decisions like, oh, it looks like it's changing direction. I mean, gas prices, I don't think that are that expensive in Florida or in Mississippi or Louisiana. So you got that in your favor. I know it can be extremely dangerous. I've chased countless storms. Ooh. Hey, Michael, then, if you do end up storm chasing, hit me up on Discord and maybe, just maybe, we can get a live stream going on the channel of some at least footage of the system if necessary. My handle on Discord is, let me find it here. It's here, I think. Oops, not that. Let's go to, yeah, no, that's not it. Hold on, let me, see here. Let me get my handle. I don't have a Discord server. So if you want to help out, get with my team. Contact Nate. Nate, do you want me to give him your handle as well so he can contact you if needed?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. So this is Nate's handle on Discord, so you could friend me and him there. If you want to get in touch, and maybe we can bring something on the live stream. But it's not a guarantee. If you desperately want to go out there and storm chase, that's up to you. If you do, just communicate that with us. Say, hey, I do plan on going storm chasing there, Here, I can email you mine because I have to create an account. Yeah, you could create a Discord account. It is free. There is no cost whatsoever to that. I've had Discord, golly, since 2017. I still use it today. But yeah, you could email me. I don't really like giving.
It's fine. We can just I'll be able to decipher between the people that have already added me and you.
Because I don't like giving my email out. Discord is I don't even look at my email. I literally don't even look at my email at all. So I have like 150. No, wait, no. I have like 95,000 emails in my inbox. That's how bad I am at checking my emails. I will be honest. I've only touched my email probably once or twice in the last 5 or 10 years. I am pretty bad at emailing people. I really am. So Discord is probably the way to do it. Because I do want a couple of storm chasers, down the line, because my channel is getting bigger. And I hope to have at least one storm chaser on my live streams once I hit 100,000, Hey, David, you're doing a great job. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. I check mine multiple times a day. Oh, wow. So someone's active on their email. Maybe I could email you and just spam you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Because, see, I feel like using email, that's not the way to talk back and forth with people. It's just the layout is not really designed for that. Like Discord, it's a lot easier to do that. Me and my friend Nate talk like 99.5% of the time on Discord, and the 0.5% is on cell phone. On cell phone without Discord. So that's how loyal Nate is to me. Hey, Easy is online, Nate. I don't know if he's available or anything.
Yeah, I'll shoot him a text.
I only have 5. I'm not ready to delete yet on my general email, laughing out loud. Oh, so you don't have a whole lot of emails. And did you know, I don't know if it works like this with YouTube, but I think in order to comment on YouTube, you have to have an email, I think, because that's your YouTube channel name. For example, I can go to Brady G's YouTube channel, and this is his channel. Literally nothing. He has 2 subscribers. So I think once you create a Google account, it's like you have a YouTube channel automatically. Do you think if Bertha hit Lakeland, it will be as bad as Milton? That's a hard one to say. It depends on how strong. I would say rain-wise, probably not. No. Definitely not. But you never know. Every tropical storm is different. This one has a lot more drier air with it. So I'd probably say it would not be even as bad. I'd say it would not even be as bad as,
Oh, and
as
David,
Milton.
Easy did say that he can meet with us.
Right now or in a little bit?
Like he can meet right now, but he can't later. So
Okay, get him on. Let's see. Do we have a group chat? Oh yeah, no we don't. Let me just add him to this call.
Or actually, once you finish up the live, we'll just get on.
Probably taking a bit of time. I'm pretty sure it is stationary right now. What's up, Easy?
What is up?
Boy, it's been a hot minute since we last talked.
It has been. Been a while.
But David, are you live?
I am live, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. I was
We're
just making
live?
sure.
But-
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're live.
All right. So I
Okay.
need to add this guy, though. That's kind of why I was waiting. So we might have a potential candidate of a storm chaser for our YouTube channel. Potentially. It's not 100%. We have to kind of talk with him and stuff. So after the stream, maybe if he's up to it, then I sent him a friend request. So because I do need storm chasers. I need at least one. At least one. That's all I ask. One permanent, somewhat permanent. Or I can't even speak. A permanent. There we go.
You got me, David.
Oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, well, that's true. If you want to go down events in Louisiana, you can do that. No, I'm kidding.
I'm all right.
I just found out my girlfriend's mom.
Don't read that. Don't read that.
I didn't. I only read I thought that was a question. Sorry. If it hits Louisiana, could moisture from it hit my cousins north of Nashville? So if it hits Louisiana, could the moisture from it hit my cousins? It could get strung apart, and some of that moisture could certainly head into that area. Let's look at the latest models. It doesn't look very likely. Let me look at the models here. Let's look at the RFS. So in that sense, we would look for anything. So the moisture that you're actually going to get is from a frontal system. So Nashville, as well as McKinsey, getting some good heavy rainfall, as well as, Bluefield up there in Roanoke, Virginia-ish areas where you have that front. So the moisture will not be from the system, and instead it's just going to be moisture that's hung around. So yeah, you will eventually get hit by some moisture, but it's not from the storm. I don't know if he friended me back. Michael, I don't know if you're here. If you can hear me, then be sure to friend.
I'll add him on Discord and I'll try to get it.
Here's his name.
I'll see it in chat. I got it.
Oh, you got it. All right. Just for reference here too. Oh, wait, that might not be. Oh, yeah, that is. Oh, wait, no. This is it. This is it. I think this is it. It's one of the two. Can easily figure that out probably before I do. Where in Florida is it hitting? So right now for Florida, it's, if we look at, hypothetically, if we look at the high resolution models that are not hurricane trained, this system, if it hits Florida, okay, if it hits Florida at all, it's only going to have winds of about 25 to 35 miles an hour. It's not going to be all that strong in terms of wind, unless you get some convective banding that could enhance the wind a little bit more. But I see winds between 20 to maybe 25 or 30 miles an hour. Now, it is important to know, though, for the center of low pressure, the center is right here. All of your thunderstorms are well weighted to the south because of the vertical wind shear. You could even see right here, all the deep convection is just like being sheared apart. Really, I mean, it does struggle to get its act together. It doesn't do a good job. So I'm here just verifying email, so I can accept. Oh, okay, perfect. You will get a friend request from Easy and probably from Nate as well. They are trusted people. I'll tell you right now, they are not underage or anything. They are really good. They've been with me for a year already. It's been about a year since they've been with me. Actually, Easy's been with me.
2 years for me.
2 years for you. About a year for Nate. So
yeah, I think about a year. Yeah, that's insane to think about.
It's crazy. It's been that long already. So these are trusted people, Michael. I'm past that bridge from like 8 years ago or 6 something years ago, where I had some people that I won't say it, but they were not too, you know what, trusted. All right. Keeping an eye on the system. So this is what the radar is forecasting over the course of the next 84 hours. And that shear is, you get the idea. It's, again, one of those situations, like it doesn't feel like a tropical storm. It really doesn't, just because of, you have drier air that's shearing the system as well. Yes, you will get wind. Your winds are definitely going to be up there between 30 to 35 miles an hour. Strongest wind gusts would probably be along the coast here, where they could get up to 58 miles an hour. So yeah, that is for sure some strong winds that could blow down trees and power lines. And that's the extent of it. But that's just one model. I'm not trusting one model. Which, by the way, Easy, I don't know if you read the NHC discussion. But even the forecaster said that I don't have much confidence in this prediction given the above factors. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I've not seen that before. That's weird.
Yeah.
Weird way to put it. Weird way to word it.
All right. He accepted the friend request, so we will talk with him. Let me make sure it is. Let's see. I think this is him. No, this is not. Can you say hello to me? Because I cannot find you on Discord. That's weird that it's not popping up. Because I know you seem interested in wanting to chase. And that would actually, that you've been chasing forever and for a long time. That's why I'm like, maybe this is the person that someone finally found me that is actually gonna chase, that has been doing this for a while. The models are so uncertain. Euros were showing major impacts near Corpus Christi. Yeah. Send star for 2 jewels. Oh, thank you. Thank you for subscribing and sending 2 stars for 2 jewels. There we go. So we got So we will talk to you, Mike the Hurricane Chaser. Actually, that sounds like a good name, actually. Mike the Hurricane Chaser. Hey, man, I'm glad you have offered this one to me. We'll see. Our team will, it's somewhat an interview. We'll just talk to get to know you and everything. And then, come up with something. Because, at least if I could have one chaser, other than Nate's busy. Nate's busy. He has a job and stuff outside of YouTube here that helps me. So we want someone that's really not every storm to chase. Depends if I'm going to be live for it. But with the major hurricanes, yeah. But I just want you to know, any chasing you do is 100% your decision. We are not going to say, yes, go chase it. No, don't go chase it. All right. It's I'm not being held that responsibility. And we'll talk a little bit about it after this live stream. I think I'm going to end it here. Any more questions, anybody? I think I'm going to call it quits here. I've been live for 3 hours. I told myself I was going to end it at 9, and it's 9:40-ish, almost 9:40 my time. So, will this storm have KFC? What the heck, Dirge? You're hilarious. Will this hurricane have a dirge moment? You know what dirge moment is? Easy, innate. It goes southwest of its track. It goes south of its track. Well, let's see if it has a dirge moment. We'll see. Yeah. I would do storm chasing for you if I didn't live in California and if I wasn't going into college. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in California. You're in Southern California, I take it, right? Sunflower. Happy local SoCal or California. By the way, I don't want to really over promote this, but I do have a Sacramento weather YouTube channel. I'm not going to put the link here. Just I want to grow organically on that. I don't want this channel to merge with that channel really. So if you really want to subscribe and follow me on Sacramento Weather Center YouTube channel, just type it up in the search bar, Sacramento Weather Center. All spaces between the 3 words. Sacramento space. Yeah, Sacramento space weather. Yeah, Sacramento space weather space center. If you're interested in following me there. I will have a video out maybe tonight. I will have to figure that out. I mean, 2 videos in a night, back to back, it's pretty tough on the body. So we'll have to see about that because I'm focusing more on this system. But I'm starting that up a little bit and trying to grow that channel a little bit. There is Recon taken off in 19 minutes. Yeah, I don't think we're going to wait for that. I mean, the system is really discombobulated right now. I don't feel that it has strengthened very much. I think it's going to be about 30 miles an hour, maybe 35 at the strongest. Because I do want to talk to my friend Easy and talk to this mic. Because, yeah, we have to work behind the scenes. You know, I'm doing this full time, folks. I'm back at this full time now because I don't have an actual paying job anymore. So I am going to have to put a lot of time into my channel. I am going to have to... That's not why I'm uploading 2 videos a day. It just ends up being that this system really has escalated to the point where 2 videos are needed a day. But also to get myself back onto YouTube. I've been kind of dormant back in like May. I was really dormant. I wasn't really active on YouTube. So I'm trying to get back into the thick of things. Do you think Fort Myers will catch any? Fort Myers. So let's go to Fort Myers here. Fort Myers. So Fort Myers, no. You're not going to get, this is the worst it's pretty much going to get. I don't think it's going to get any more significant. What you're seeing now is what you're getting. That's all there is to it. I don't think it's going to be, there's no radar site down there anyways. You'll get some pop-up showers from time to time, and that's really all you're going to see. Nothing too significant. Oh, it's raining now. So you're probably over in here somewhere then. Or you're probably over here somewhere where this little rain cell is. Dang, you have had some pretty good rain for a while there. Yep, I'm there. Oh, nice. And the cool thing is I could actually zoom in and look at different streets. Oh, this is really neat. Oh, look at all the cul-de-sacs. Little cul-de-sac, little complex. Look at that. So, yeah, it's just raining. Yeah, it's part of these storms that are rolling through. Alrighty. Okay, I think that's about it. Hey, good for you for brushing yourself up and getting back up. You're in a great position to get more views and subscribers if you lean into this storm and position. Wishing you luck. Thank you so much. Anna Vine, something like that. Yeah, I'm going to try to put more time as long... You guys got to pray with me on this one. As long as the anxiety stays away. It's come back a little bit, but not to the extent where it was back in February and March. February and March, it was hell for me. It was hell. The anxiety does not relate to YouTube in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what is causing it. So all I have to do is I have to cope with it, and I've just got to pray that it gets better. But as long as it stays away, like it is now for the most part, I will be uploading every single day. 2 videos a day if I have to. Well, only if something significant is happening. But I will have weather updates every day on the channel. From tropics to something to like El Nino. All right. Well, anyways, I think I'm going to head off. I've said I'm headed off too many times and I've failed to do so. So this time... I am going to follow through with this. As always, everyone, have a great rest of your night. I will have a morning video discussion. On on Tropical Depression 2. Will it become Bertha? We shall find out in our 06Z model run forecasts tomorrow morning when I release my video. All right. But as always, I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. If not, you don't catch me in the morning, I will be back here tomorrow afternoon with another live stream. As far as it looks, I don't have anything planned. And so I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon right around 5 or 6 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. As always, make Sunday night, Monday morning a great night here from the Home Weather Office near Stockton, California on the 19th day of July, 2026. I'll catch you all tomorrow morning.